Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. We will now resume the public hearing and begin taking testimony from the public on the city's proposed budget. Before proceeding, however, we will lay a few ground rules on how we will proceed with public testimony this afternoon. We are here today to hear from you about the city's proposed operating and capital budgets and proposed tax revenue measures. To ensure that there is an opportunity for all of you to be heard, certain ground rules have been established as follows. Your testimony should be about the city's proposed budget and operating and capital budget and proposed revenue measures. Once your name has been called, you will then have the opportunity to speak. In order to be fair, we will make sure that everyone will have approximately 90 seconds to speak. Once you are asked to begin your testimony, a timer will be started. When there are 30 seconds remaining to your time, you'll be reminded of this time. Once your allotted time has passed, you will be asked to conclude with your remarks. We recognize that Philadelphia is a city where many different languages are spoken, and we welcome Spanish interpretation to this public budget hearing today to ensure that those who don't speak English can equitably participate in this budget hearing. We have live interpretation into Spanish being provided by 2 interpreters for our Spanish-speaking community members to ensure language justice. I ask everyone today to please speak clearly and slightly slower than you otherwise would to ensure that the interpreters can capture all of your words. For those using the headset interpretation devices, if they are not working at any point, please raise your hand and you will be assisted. The Spanish speakers who are providing public testimony will be interpreted for as well so that the public here today can understand their important contributions to our hearing. Thank you to the Office of Immigrant Affairs for coordinating language justice for the budget hearing today. Also, I know that we were supposed to start slightly earlier than we are today. We were a little backed up based upon our 2 hearings that we had, and so I do apologize on behalf of this body for working very diligently and hardly with our questioning regarding our district attorney's budget as well as SEPTA's budget. I'm going to also work with my team to do a follow-up part 2 for public comment before this budget session is over. So if you don't have the opportunity to speak today, you can also do a follow-up in the future before we finish our budget process with a part 2 opportunity for people to participate in the budget process, but most importantly, as was noted to me, to make sure that your questions, your recommendations, your issues and concerns are on the record. Separate from that, we are also having 3 additional public budget town hall meetings. Now, although those town hall meetings will not be on the record, my Chief Financial Officer, Helen Loghead, and her team will still be taking down information, and we will be putting that information together as for recommendations for this upcoming budget process. And just for the record, when we're doing budget town halls across the city of Philadelphia, we are not out there doing it for the sake of just doing it. All of the information that we do receive, we do code it, and we do take a look at it in terms of how we're putting together our final budget request proposals. And so with that being said, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your schedule and participating in your government process. With that being said, I'm going to ask for Ms. Helen Loghead to please call the first person to testify.
I'm going to call the first 2 people, so if you could both come up to the table. That would be Emily Abendroth and Shamar Pitts.
Shamar is coming.
Okay.
Just state your name for the record and you can begin your testimony.
Hello, my name is Emily Abendroth. I live in the Cobbs Creek area of West Philadelphia. I'm the program manager for Philly Climate Works, and I'm also a member of the Here for Climate Justice Coalition. I'm excited to be sharing space today also with so many folks from the Alliance for a Just Philadelphia who remind us that fully funding public services keep us safe. As a Philly resident, I stand in full support of the recent Our Philly Neighborhoods campaign introduced by Brooks, Gautier, O'Rourke, and Landau. And we are very glad to see this focus on and energy directed toward housing justice. However, I want to use my moment today to focus on one element within that platform and one whose success is particularly reliant on the results of these budget negotiations, and that is comprehensive home repair, and more specifically funding for the Philadelphia Energy Authority's Built to Last program. The Here for Climate Justice Coalition consists of more than 20 member organizations based here in Philadelphia, so I'm speaking on as many people and not just myself. A few of those are Community Legal Services, Power, Thrive, Green Building United, Jobs with Justice, ASE, Physicians for Social Responsibility, Clean Air Council, and many, many more. And as a coalition, we're asking City Council and Mayor Parker to fully fund the Philadelphia Energy Authority's budget ask, which includes $5 million for Built to Last. Mayor Parker's current budget cuts funding for PEA's basic operations and includes no allocation for this program. The Built to Last initiative provides comprehensive home repairs and green energy upgrades for low-income Philadelphia homeowners. There's a million things I could say about why this program is important. I realize you're about to cut me off, but I'll just say one last thing, which is that we know that for a minimum of $300,000 that it takes to build a new affordable house in Philly, that between 14 and 30 existing homes can be improved, and that accordingly the cultural fabric, the generational wealth, and neighborhood relationships that have been built across decades can be sustained, that this is both environmentally and socially sustainable, and we want to see that program fully funded.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Councilman.
Good afternoon.
I'm glad to be here, and my first time here, you being the council president, I just want you to know that from me, I'm proud of you, my brother, of being who you are and you know what you mean to all of us. So my name is Shamar from Philly Thrive, and I live in the Grace Ferry section of South Philadelphia. And I was up in the gallery listening to the earlier meeting with our district attorney and some of the things that they touched on about victims of crime and crime in general and victims of homicides and things like that. So this is a big issue in our community. And one of the things that lends to this problem is that sometimes when we come up in a terrible household. And a lot of times the household is unsafe, is a house that you wouldn't even believe that a person is living in, right? It's uninhabitable. And when you have a terrible home, you have a different outlook on life. It has an effect on your attitude that you bring to the outside community. And this is where I want to talk about the Built to Last program, because this is a comprehensive program that would help a lot of people in our community, and not alone in our community, it would help with our carbon neutrality goals that we want to reach in our city. So it would help across the whole spectrum of a lot of things. And we have plenty of money to spend on a lot of different things. And all we're asking for is $5 million in this city's budget for this Built to Last program, and it would affect us in many ways. And I know that my time is short, so I'm going to cut it short, but we really would appreciate if you took in consideration all the ways that it could help us and support this program and ask our Madam Mayor to include $5 million in the city budget for the Built to Last program, a comprehensive program that focuses on cutting the price of your utilities and making your home safe, and at the same time combating global warming. So it's quite a few things that we can do if we support this program, and it's only right to support it. So thank you for the time, and we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak, and please consider this $5 million for the Built to Last program. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you both for your testimony. Ms. Lawhead, can you please call the next two people for public testimony?
Yes, next up is Carol Rogers and Adam Goldman.
Shout out to Philly Thrive.
And then after those two will be Constance Day and Cynthia Clark, if you just want to be ready to go after they conclude.
Hello, how you doing? Just
Hi,
state
how
your
are
name
you?
and begin your testimony.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. I thank you so much, Council President Johnson. It is wonderful to see this young and vibrant council, so welcome to all of you who are new. I am not new. I am the vice chair of the Philadelphia City Health Centers Board. I also want to give love and respect to all the Philadelphians that are here to have impact on this city budget. It's so important, and I thank everybody that came. I'm the vice chair of the Philadelphia City Health Centers Board. We oversee the operation of the Philadelphia City Health Centers, where we serve more than 80,000 Philadelphians each year, regardless of insurance, immigration status, or money to pay. I am a Philadelphia Department of Public Health retiree after 29 years of service, yay, and I speak on behalf of the Coalition for 2 new health centers in Northeast Philadelphia now. I'm here to testify in support of the Philadelphia City Health Centers and Health Department plans to open 2 new health centers, starting with the Friends Hospital site. This is an urgent issue, not only for the people in Northeast Philadelphia, but for all of us. As an activist union member, healthcare worker, since my retirement, I have testified in front of this body many times in support of the health centers. I've testified against underfunding, against privatization, in support of transfer ordinances so the health centers could remain open for the entire budget year, and in support of legislation to mandate the city health centers. The first time I provided testimony, I was very anxious, and often when we have to speak in front of a crowd, we get anxious, but once you sit here for 2 hours, you're not that anxious. But what I was anxious about was that I had to get home to pick up my youngest child from daycare. My youngest child is now 48 years old. He was actually in your class of City Year, President Johnson, and we have watched your leadership, and we're very proud of you in my household. The need for a new health center to serve people in the lower Northeast was documented by the Health Department as early as 2010. In fact, last week I was sitting here during the budget testimony of the Health Commissioner, and I was scrolling through my Facebook, and a memory came up. And it was a flyer I had prepared for the budget hearing of fiscal year 11 about the need for a new health center. This flyer stated that this was in 2010, 72,000 people living in Northeast Philadelphia, primarily in zip codes 19124, 19120, and I know I have to finish, but I did give you a compliment. So, so people living in zip codes 24, 20, 49, and 11 had chronic diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes. 5% of them were at risk for having had no health care visit in the previous year. Now, I think about this a lot, but I thought about how long it has been since 2010, and let's wonder how many of these people suffered preventable health conditions like stroke, like heart disease, like kidney failure, amputations, because they were unable to get the care then. I wonder how many would be healthier today, living healthier lives, if we had built a new health center then. How many more would be alive today? I know my time's up, I'll get through this fast. The people of Northeast Philadelphia have waited too long for life-saving primary care services. We started organizing to protect the Philadelphia health centers in the early 80s. or when we started organizing, many policymakers, including people in this room, really didn't understand the problem with health care. Many people believed that if you were really sick, you go to an emergency room and they would take care of you. But we know that's not true. We understand that more about the health care system now. And I know you don't believe that. Primary care services are the best prevention for the health of our people. So I'm asking, in the face of some hateful opposition of a few residents, I think that this coalition has shown how important these health centers are, how important it is to move ahead quickly to build a new health center, starting with the Friends site, second by the Frankfurt site, and please support these health centers,
Thank you.
learn about them, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Health equity.
Good afternoon, Council President
Good
and Council
afternoon.
members. My name's Adam Goldman. I'm the incoming director of the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, which for nearly 50 years has assisted unemployed workers, through what's a very hard time in their life, the loss of a job. I'm here today also urging you to support construction of 2 new city health centers in Northeast Philadelphia. As Carol said, one is planned to be built at the Frankfurt Transportation Center, and the other is planned for the Friends Hospital campus at Roosevelt Boulevard. So the city health centers provide very high quality, low cost health care to any Philadelphian who needs it, regardless of insurance coverage or ability to pay. This is incredibly important for unemployed workers, many of whom lose their insurance coverage along with the loss of a job. And even though, workers can potentially continue to receive insurance coverage through COBRA, this can cost hundreds of dollars a month, which, when you're on unemployment benefits just isn't affordable. And that's where the health centers come in. If you come in without health insurance, they'll help you figure out if you qualify for coverage from the state, and if you don't qualify, they'll still treat you. But for residents of the Northeast, there's only one single city health center, which is Health Center 10. For many years, this has led to massive wait times, especially for new patients who have had at times to wait for up to a year for their first appointment. The 2 planned health centers would together serve 46,000 patients a year, taking the pressure off Health Center 10, increasing access to care in the Northeast, and reducing wait times for appointments. This is especially important given the increase in poverty levels in Northeast Philadelphia over the last several decades. In some neighborhoods in the area, poverty has increased by as much as 400% since 1990. For anyone, but especially for low-income residents in the city, access to affordable health care can be literally a matter of life and death. And so the city's health department has been working very hard for years to make this happen, and patients just can't afford to wait any longer. So every day the project is delayed is another day that residents aren't receiving care, and that's why I really strongly urge you to support construction of both city health centers in Northeast Philly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your dedication and your work as well. Ms. Lawhead, will you please call the next 2 members for public testimony?
Constance Day and Cynthia Clark, and then following those 2 will be Katherine Kimani and Julio Rodriguez.
Hello.
Hello,
Just state your name for the record and please begin your testimony.
my name is Constance Day. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the Public Health Department. I serve as a recording secretary and a patient representative from Health Center number 9. Thank you so much.
My name is Cynthia Clark, and I am a patient of the health centers since 1999, and I'm on the board of the Health Center 12, and on the board of the directors for Philadelphia Health Centers. Okay, I go first. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Cynthia Clark, and I'm here to urge you to approve zoning for the 2 new health centers in the lower Northeast at both Frankfurt Transportation Center and the Friends Hospital campus. I am on the board of Health Center 12 in Strawberry Mansion, as well as the citywide board of directors for Philadelphia City Health Centers. the majority of which is made up of patients like myself. I am a twice survivor of breast cancer, first diagnosed in 1999 and again in 2002. By Health Center 12. City-operated health centers provide important primary medical care, specialist care, and support services to patients around the city. As a current patient at Health Center 10, I have recently noticed changes within the center operations. I have experienced long wait times and in some cases been given a change date for an already set appointment. Other patients that I have spoken with experience the same thing, and wait time for patients seeking an appointment can be as long as a year. A longer wait for a person who has not yet been diagnosed can greatly jeopardize their health. The reason for these long waits is that Northeast Philadelphia has only one health center, Health Center 10. We need more health centers. I have spoken with patients like myself and other community members who have expressed overwhelming support for building both new health centers. Patients have waited long enough. The project needs to move forward now. I urge City Council to pass zoning legislation to build both health centers in Northeast Philadelphia as soon as possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, just state your name and you can begin.
Constance Day.
You
Thank you.
can begin your testimony. You can start.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
My testimony is going to be short. You've heard what my colleagues have talked about, the building of 2 new health centers in the lower Northeast. This is crucial right now. The volume there is overwhelming. The waits are very long, from anywhere from 6 months to a year when you make your appointment. That's unacceptable. These 2 new health centers will change the scope of health care for the public health department. Right now, the public health department's services are massive. And I just want to tell my story about being a member of the public health department and my experience that I had gone through. I worked for private industry for 26 years. I worked for the government for 10. Both those times of employment, I had top-notch insurance coverage. My 26-year term ended, and so did my health care. Nice little letter came in the mail for me if I wanted to keep it. It's going to cost me $800 a month. Then I was covered by the government. At that point, I went to Health Center number 9 on the recommendation of a family member. Found the best doctors that I had ever had. I had better service, better attention, and they solved my healthcare issues. They actually looked after me, called me, gave me directions. The public health department serves the underserved people here. They're open and available. Whether you have insurance or not, no one is turned away. We need those 2 new public health centers up in the Northeast. Because right now, because the volume is so high and health is so important, the other centers are catching it. Because number 10 can't handle it. So they come to the other 8 health centers. So now is the time. We waited long enough. We need those health centers.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got me thinking about when I was little, my nana used to take me to the health center at Broad and Morris in South Philadelphia. And so you get your free dental, you get your free checkups, right? but it was also like a family-like atmosphere that's in the neighborhood. So I don't live in Northeast, but I understand the mission. And if COVID didn't show us anything, the health disparities that took place as it relates to us going through that pandemic. So thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Will Ms. Helen Lawhead please call the next two individuals for public testimony?
Katherine Kimani and Julio Rodriguez.
Just state your name for the record and you can begin testimony.
Catherine Claire Coviello Cacciamani, but I'll go with Catherine Cacciamani. Thank you, Council President Kenyatta Johnson and the members of City Council for this opportunity to comment today. I'm Catherine Cacciamani, as you've heard, and I've been practicing criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia for over 30 years. I represent the interest of private and court-appointed attorneys on many working groups within the 1st Judicial District. I have come here today to talk about the unbelievably slow payments to court-appointed attorneys and their investigators and experts in the city of Philadelphia by the counsel fee unit under the managing director's office. Make no mistake, the situation is currently at a crisis level that is greatly affecting the administration of justice in this city. Court-appointed attorneys represent indigent clients that the Defender Association of Philadelphia cannot represent due to conflicts of interest. We represent clients in all sorts of cases, such as adult criminal cases, as well as children in the city of Philadelphia in delinquency and dependency matters. Court-appointed attorneys and their experts are being paid at an insufficient rate that is beyond the 60-day mandated payment window regularly, without any mandated interest included in their payments. A viable argument can be made that the city is in contempt of a court order for not including interest on late payments. We are asking court-appointed attorneys to do this essential work with insufficient funding, huge delays in their payments, and virtually no access to investigators. We currently have only one court-appointed investigator who is willing to take on court-appointed work. My investigator stopped taking court-appointed work last year when she could no longer continually fight to have her bills paid by the city of Philadelphia. That means at this moment, we have one investigator for thousands of clients. Let's be clear. This disproportionately affects the brown and black people in our city. I did a review of my last 37 court-appointed vouchers submitted for payment. Of those 37, 12 were paid on time, 18 were paid late, and 7 vouchers are still outstanding and will be paid late by the time the city, once I receive my payment. That means once I finally am paid, I will have been paid late on 25 out of 37 of those vouchers. As of December of 2023, court-appointed attorneys doing dependency matters hadn't been paid on their cases since May or June. Dependency matters. When you don't pay court-appointed attorneys in a timely manner, competent court-appointed attorneys and experts drop from the court-appointed list every single day, and what results in is a miscarriage of justice, increased lengths of stay in our jails and prisons, wrongful conviction actions down the road. So in addition to justice implications, it also costs the city more money when we are not paid in a timely manner. I am heartened that all of the criminal justice stakeholders made mention of this crisis in their budget testimony, and I ask this body to act in rectifying this dire situation. I am too happy to more than be involved in this process about possible solutions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Please try to say your name beginning your testimony.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. My name is Julio Rodriguez. Thank you, Council President and members of City Council for allowing me to comment today on the city budget. I work for the Pennsylvania Immigration Citizenship Coalition, a nonprofit that advocates for immigrants statewide, where we have 50 member organizations in 26 counties. We're here in partnership with the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, and I'm here to state my unequivocal support for the establishment of the 2 new health centers in the Northeast. I'd like to share a personal experience that underscores the critical importance of accessible health care. In 2013, I experienced a temporary loss of health insurance. During this lapse, I experienced severe gallbladder pain requiring surgery. However, I had to endure excruciating pain for 60 days before my insurance became effective. My doctor said I was lucky to be alive as my gallbladder became so enlarged from waiting so long for my surgery. This ordeal is a stark reminder that access to timely medical care should not rely on luck and should be more readily accessible. The proposed health centers are poised to significantly enhance healthcare accessibility for a diverse community in the Northeast, including a large immigration population. The health centers will be affordable with a sliding scale of $5 to $20 and will serve 46,000 patients annually. Currently, Health Center 10, the only health center in the area, has wait times of 10 to 12 months. And research has shown that delays of 60 to 90 days following a positive initial cancer screening can significantly worsen patient outcomes, allowing cancer to progress. I urge you to please support the funding for these vital health centers and to vote in favor of the zoning ordinance when presented in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Could you meet with, give your information to Brett Needlecoff? I met with the Bar Association around this very same issue, so we'll do follow-up. But Brett Needlecoff, just raise your hand. Helen, please call the next 2 individuals for public comment.
Jasmine Rivera and Linda Colwell-Smith.
Just state your name and please begin.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Council. Good afternoon. Jasmine Rivera. Here, yeah. I am Jasmine Rivera. I am the Interim Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Immigrant and Citizenship Coalition. Hi. You heard from my colleague, Julio Rodriguez. I'm here today representing the organization, but I'm also here today as a mother, a homeowner, a resident of Juniata Park. I am here to support the proposed health center at Friends Hospital and on Frankfurt Avenue. I want to encourage Council to renew and increase funding to the Pennsylvania Immigrant Family Unity Project as well, also known as PATHUP. This is a citywide program that provides free legal representation to Philadelphia residents who have been detained by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. PATHUP attorneys represent their clients in deportation proceedings, assisting them in applying for asylum, permanent residency, other forms of immigration relief. And most of the clients who are being represented by PATHUP attorneys have children who are US citizens living here in Philadelphia. So I'm here supporting both of these initiatives. So I want to first share my perspective for this health center because I am a resident now of the Juniata Park community, formerly of South Philly. And as someone who has worked with the immigrant rights community, but also someone who's a mother, this is gonna be invaluable to folks. I'm excited to see affordable health services get expanded to myself, to my child, and to my neighbors and my friends. I am a working mother. I have a 5-year-old, and I have experienced a lot of long wait times to get her care, to get myself care. I'll wrap it up, I promise. And so this health center is not only gonna expand the number of healthcare providers, but I'm gonna be honest, the proximity is gonna make life that much easier for myself and for my neighbors. So I have submitted written testimony that goes further in depth of how this is going to impact the data that backs up why this is only going to be a benefit. And particularly, it's going to be a benefit to the immigrant community as well as the wider Philadelphia community, because the plans are to ensure that healthcare providers are equipped to work with the various immigrant communities across Northeast and North Philadelphia. So once again, I urge you all to support having this health center be approved, to break ground, to provide more affordable health care to our communities and to our families, and to continue to support Path Up so that we can keep families together and not separated by deportations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon. My name's Linda Caldwell-Smith. I'm co-chair of the Friends of the Free Library of Philadelphia with my fellow co-chair Yvette Hill-Robinson, who couldn't be here today, but we're usually sitting right over there every Thursday. I'm here today to tell everybody that the library is back. We're seeing a lot more patrons. The recent eclipse, we were swamped, and this is across the city. All right, so we're on the right track. But I must warn everyone, summer is coming. And that means we're going to get swamped with families and children because, let's face it, costs are up and we're the best free game in town. So I'm here to, our main worry is that the old air conditioning systems, the buildings will start to give out again because we've been getting some really warm summers recently. So we'd like to ask council to give an extra $5 million to the library's building and maintenance funding because we want to keep the branches open. Folks come to us and they really depend on our libraries, and this is across the city. The Friends of the Free Library, we believe in the library to the point where we just had our 50th anniversary last year. And thank you, thank you. Instead of throwing a big party, we decided let's give the party to everybody. We are giving $300 again to every branch children's department, every branch adult department, and to the regionals and to downtown. And they use this for summer reading. They use it for any way they want. And it's been very successful. We're going to continue doing it every year. So again, I ask for your support for the library. Give us some more money. Keep us open. I know we have friends on council. And let's open another health center in Northeast Philly. I grew up in the one in Frankfurt. Let's do it.
Thank you very much, both of you, for your testimony.
Thank you.
Well, Helen, you please call the next two people for public comment.
Maria de Jesus Ayala and Arinda Zamakona.
This might be a little more exciting than those department hearings, but that's a different conversation. Go ahead and state your name for the record and please begin.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Herendira Zamacona.
Good afternoon, my name is Herendira Zamacona.
Hola, buenas tardes, mi nombre es Herendira Zamacona. Soy una miembro y líder del Comité de Trabajadores de Restaurant, una activista, una organizadora comunitaria y una madre trabajadora de 3 hijos.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Herendira Zamacona. I am a member and leader of a restaurant workers committee, an activist, a community organizer, and a working mother of 3 children.
Hoy estoy aquí presente para pedirle a la alcaldesa y a los concejales que asignen un aumento inmediato de 25 millones para parques y centros recreativos, así como 2.6 millones para la Oficina de Protección de los Trabajadores.
I am here today to ask the mayor and council members to allocate an immediate increase of $25 million for parks and recreation centers, as well as a $2.6 million for the Office of Worker Protections.
Me ha impactado particularmente la falta de acceso a los campamentos de verano en parque y recreación. Como madre trabajadora, nos afecta el no tener un cuidado para nuestros hijos en las vacaciones de verano. Me gusta mi trabajo en restaurante, quiero trabajar, pero nos complica ir a trabajar porque no tenemos un lugar seguro dónde dejar a los niños. Ahora mismo también nos toca batallar para lograr esos pocos espacios que existen.
I have been particularly struck by the lack of access to summer camps in parks and recreation. As a working mother, it affects us not having care for our children during summer break. I like my job in the restaurant and I want to work, but it makes it difficult for us to go to work because we don't have a safe place to leave our children. Right now, we also have to fight to achieve those few spaces that exist.
Uno de mis amigos fue aceptado en un campamento de verano en parque y recreación en el sur de Filadelfia, pero el primer día del campamento le dijeron que no había espacio para él. El padre estaba angustiado y desesperado porque él ya no contaba con ese lugar para un campamento de verano para sus hijos.
One of my friends was accepted into a summer camp at Parks and Rec in South Philly, but on the first day of camp, he was told there was no more room for him. The father was distraught and desperate because he had already had that place reserved for his children.
Como padres inmigrantes y trabajadores, sentimos que nuestros hijos se quedan fuera. Con 25 millones para parques y recreaciones, podemos tener suficiente personal para mantener cada instalación recreativa segura y operativa y como resultado tener mejores centros en toda la ciudad.
As an immigrant and working parents, we feel that our children are left out. With $25 million for parks and recreation, we can have enough staff to keep each recreation facility safe and operational, and as a result, have better centers throughout the city.
La Oficina de Protección de los Trabajadores y Parque y Recreación son esenciales para mi bienestar, el de mi familia y el de mi comunidad. Necesito saber si usted, alcaldesa, el ayuntamiento, están protegiendo mis derechos como trabajador y apoyando el acceso de mi familia, el espacio público y a los campamentos de verano. Las personas trabajadoras que mueven esta ciudad de Filadelfia merecemos tener este apoyo. Gracias.
The Office of Worker Protections and Parks and Recreation are essential to the well-being of me, my family, and my community. I need to know that you, Madam Mayor, City Council, are protecting my rights as a worker and supporting my family's access to public space and summer camps. The hardworking people who make this city of Philadelphia move deserve to have this support. Thank you.
You can begin.
Hola, buenas tardes, estimados concejales. Mi nombre es María de Jesús Ayala. Soy miembro de la Alianza Nacional de los Trabajadores del Hogar. Yo trabajo en limpieza de casas por 10 años. Como trabajadora que confía en las oficinas de protección de trabajadores, para que se respeten mis derechos, estoy aquí para pedir una financiación completa de $2.6 millones para que las leyes como las cartas de derecho de los trabajadores del hogar se apliquen y se representen plenamente.
Hello, good afternoon, dear council members. My name is Maria de Jesus Ayala, and I am a member of the National Domestic Workers Alliance. I have worked in house cleaning for 10 years. As a worker who relies on the Office of Worker Protections to respect my rights, I am here to ask for the full funding of $2.6 million so that laws such as the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights are fully implemented and respected.
El trabajo del hogar es un trabajo digno e importante. Más recientemente trabajé limpiando en Airbnb y sé que este trabajo también es muy importante porque viene mucho turista a la ciudad y la higiene dentro de cada habitación es una prioridad.
Domestic work is dignified and important work. Most recently, I worked cleaning Airbnbs, and I know that this work is also very important because a lot of tourists come to the city, and hygiene inside each room is a priority.
También hay abusos como el acoso, falta de descansos y robo de salario que yo misma he sufrido. Aún no se puede callar por miedo a que los patrones tomen represalias contra nosotros. Así que nos sentimos como que tenemos que hacer el trabajo sin nuestros derechos porque tenemos miedo a defendernos. Y también sabemos que otros han tratado de defenderse sus derechos y los han despedido y nada le pasa a esos empleadores.
There are also abuses such as harassment, lack of breaks, and wage theft that I have suffered myself. We keep quiet for fear that the employers will retaliate against us, so we will feel like we have to do the job without our rights because we are afraid to stand up for ourselves. And we also know that others have tried to stand up for their rights and have been fired, and nothing happens to those employers.
No hay suficientes recursos para ayudar a los trabajadores cuando se ponen sus quejas. Por eso aquí estamos pidiendo ayuda para que nos den fondos económicos para poder contratar más personal para defender nuestros derechos. Así nosotros, los trabajadores valientes que ponemos quejas, podemos ser un ejemplo para muchos que no ponen quejas y se quedan callados.
There are not enough resources to help workers when they file complaints. That is why we're here asking for help to give us economic funds so that we can hire more personnel to defend our rights. This way, we, the brave workers who file complaints, can be an example for many who do not file complaints and remain silent.
Por eso pido que nos apoyen con el presupuesto justo para las oficinas de protección a los trabajadores. Necesitamos el apoyo para poder darles la importancia a los casos de abuso en el trabajo. Por eso me uno con mis compañeras aquí para pedir $2.6 millones para la Oficina de Protección de los Trabajadores. Muchas gracias por su tiempo.
That is why we ask you to support us with the right budget for the Office of Worker Protections. We need to support to be able to give importance to the cases of abuse in the workplace. That is why I joined with my colleagues here in asking for $2.6 million for the Office of Worker Protection. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Helen, please call the two next individuals for public comment.
Sonia Sanders and Adriana George.
Sonia Sanders and Adriana George. Sonia Sanders and Adriana George. And your name is?
Adriana.
You're Adriana,
Yes.
okay. Since,
Angelica Aparicio Carrillo.
you can begin your testimony.
All right. Good afternoon, Council President Johnson and members of City Council. My name is Adriana George, and I am a professional nanny and a member leader of the National Domestic Workers Alliance and our program for Black domestic workers, We Dream in Black. We fought and won the Philadelphia Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, which passed unanimously in 2019, and I am here to make sure that the Office of Workers' Protection is fully funded at $2.6 million so that law and other critical labor protections are fully enforced and respected. I am here to advocate on behalf of my fellow domestic workers, a workforce that is mostly dominated by Black and brown immigrants. Many of us have endured intimidation due to immigration status, wage theft, and defamation of character, which can greatly impact us financially. We, the domestic workers of Philadelphia, deserve a people's budget that fully funds the Office of Workers' Protection, an office with the Department of Labor that is frontline defense for 750,000 workers. Despite this, there is just one full-time staff member for every 197,000 workers in Philadelphia, with an underfunded Office of Workers Protection, workers are not able to take full advantage of the city labor protection. Domestic workers deserve strong investment in the Office of Workers Protection that provides swift action in handling wage theft cases, because we know that it takes the Department of Labor approximately 120 days to look at a case. This is why we are here today to ask for a fully funded budget of $2.6 million for the Office of Worker Protection. With this budget, the Office of Worker Protection will be able to hire more investigators and provide education about our laws. We ask for your full support in funding the Office of Worker Protection. I thank you.
Thank you. You can begin your testimony.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Angélica, soy líder comunitaria del Comité de Trabajadoras de Restaurante y madre de 3 hijos, y como trabajadora de restaurante veo todos los días que los trabajadores sufren robo de salario y no reciben pago por enfermedad cuando se enferman. En cambio, los trabajadores se ven obligados a ir a trabajar así porque no tienen otra opción. Es por eso que estoy aquí hoy para pedirles que financien completamente la Oficina de Protección de los Trabajadores con los 2.6 millones que necesitamos para ayudarnos.
Hello, my name is Angelica. I am a community leader of the Restaurant Workers Committee and a mother of 3 children. And as a restaurant worker, I see every day that workers suffer wage theft and do not receive sick pay when they get sick. Instead, workers are forced to go to work like this because they have no other option. That's why I'm here today to ask you to fully fund the Office of Worker Protections with $2.6 million. They need us. They need to help us.
El año pasado me uní al programa con el Comité de Trabajadoras de Restaurante, que fue financiado por la Oficina de Protección de los Trabajadores llamado Fondo de Educación y Alcance Comunitario. En el programa aprendí sobre la ley COVID-19 y la ley por enfermedad pagada de 2015. Por eso, cuando estuve enferma con COVID, en 2 ocasiones pude quedarme en casa y no exponer a mis compañeros de trabajo.
Last year, I joined a program with the Restaurant Workers Committee that was funded by the Office of Worker Protections called the Community Outreach and Education Fund. In the program, I learned about COVID-19 law and the paid sick leave law that started in 2015. Therefore, when I was sick with COVID, on 2 occasions, I was able to stay home and not expose my coworkers.
Todo esto es gracias a las organizaciones que luchan por los derechos de los trabajadores y que podemos tener un trabajo digno. Por eso pido que el ayuntamiento se ponga del lado de los trabajadores y hagan realidad los derechos que tanto nos han costado y ofrezcan fondos a la única oficina que está diseñada para ayudarnos y sigan protegiendo a nosotros los trabajadores, dándonos la protección, ya que somos parte importante para la economía de Filadelfia. Muchísimas gracias.
All of this is thanks to the organizations that fight for workers' rights so that we can have a decent job. That is why I now ask that the City Council take the side of the workers and make these rights that have cost us so much a reality. Fund the only office that is designed to help us and continue to support us workers by giving us protections because we are so important to Pennsylvania's economy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Helen, please call the next 2 individuals for public comment.
Veronica Peris and Jesse Amadeo, and then following those 2 will be Sherry Cohen and Jamila Carter.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Verónica y soy madre, líder comunitaria y soy parte del Comité de Trabajadores de Restaurante. Hoy estoy aquí porque necesitamos un mejor presupuesto que proteja y apoye a los trabajadores.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Veronica Peris, and I'm a mother, a community leader, and I am part of the Restaurant Workers Committee. I'm here because we need a better budget that protects and supports workers.
Por muchos años trabajé en restaurantes y sufrí acoso sexual y violencia por género en mi lugar de trabajo. Hay muy pocos lugares donde uno puede acudir a buscar ayuda y los que existen están saturados ya que la única solución que tuve fue salirme del trabajo.
For many years, I worked in restaurants and experienced sexual harassment and gender-based violence in my workplace. There are a few places where one can go for help, and those that exist are so saturated that the only solution I had was to leave work.
Ser acosado en el trabajo es desagradable y yo empecé a tener problemas de salud por el estrés causado en mí por el acoso laboral. En otros casos, los finales son peores, hasta el suicidio. Hoy vengo a pedir un buen presupuesto para que haya más lugares que protejan a los trabajadores y que tengan la capacidad de brindar ayuda a más sobrevivientes de acoso sexual y violencia por género. Con una oficina de protección a los trabajadores crónicamente subsidiada, los trabajadores no se sentirán seguros ni apoyados para defender sus derechos y presentar reclamaciones.
Being harassed at work is horrible. I began to have health problems due to the stress caused by my workplace harassment. In other cases, the endings are worse, even suicide. Today I come to ask for a good budget so that there are more places that protect workers and have the capacity to provide help to more survivors of sexual harassment and gender-based violence. With a chronically underfunded Office of Worker Protections, workers do not feel safe or supported to defend their rights and file claims.
Al optar no financiar esta oficina, también están diciendo que no apoyan a los sobrevivientes. Necesitamos que la ciudad apoye a todos los trabajadores, especialmente a los sobrevivientes de acoso sexual en el lugar de trabajo como yo, y financien la oficina de protección al trabajador con los 2.6 millones que necesita para defender la justicia laboral.
By choosing not to fund this office, you're also saying that you will not support survivors. We need the city to support all workers, especially survivors of workplace sexual harassment like me, and fund the Office of Worker Protections with the $2.6 million it needs to defend the workplace justice. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council
Good
President.
afternoon.
Sorry. And the rest of City Council, thank you very much. My name is Jessie Amadio. I'm a board member of Philly Bike Action, which is an organization dedicated to making our streets safe for all road users by designing roads in such a way that safe behavior is built in rather than opt-in. I'm concerned about the overall reduction in spending on Vision Zero initiatives, which I feel is not aligned with the city's stated mission of reducing traffic deaths. Last year, an all-time high of 10 cyclists were killed by a driver in a motor vehicle. A total of 126 people died in traffic, including 57 pedestrians. I urge City Council to adjust budget line 70.1 to include an annual increase to Vision Zero projects, not a reduction. When traffic deaths are increasing, the money to address the issue should not be decreasing. Complete streets initiatives that allow for road diets, increased intersection visibility, shorter crossing distances, and protected bike lanes are critical infrastructure designs that save lives. These projects are proven to reduce collisions, death, and serious injury. They make our city more navigable for pedestrians, folks with limited mobility, and for the many Philadelphians who rely on affordable, equitable modes of multimodal transportation. Vision Zero projects are key to making Philadelphia's street safe and working for everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next up is Sherry Cohen and Jamila Carter. Following those two to testify is Rufina Rodriguez and Amy Fowling.
Folks may or may not know, this is the original progressive right here. Like, you know, like we'll give you a round of applause, Sherry, because we know where your heart is at. Good to see you, Sherry. Just please begin your testimony.
Good afternoon, President Johnson and members of City Council. My name is Sherry Cohen, and I live in Ogontz. I am an activist, an attorney, have been a candidate for City Council, and a fighter for budget justice for the past 20 years. I strongly support the people's budget of the Alliance for a Just Philadelphia. This budget proposes to increase funding to our libraries, parks, recreation centers, and community college for programs that provide green home repairs that keep people in their homes, like the Philadelphia Energy Authority's Built to Last program, for alternatives to policing like mental health first responders, and for tenant protections and worker protections. The mayor's proposed budget has cut or kept flat these vital city services, yet prioritized funding for police and prisons. I urge council to reinstate the $900,000 a year grant for a syringe exchange program that has existed in Philadelphia for 3 decades. Even the administration's own health experts acknowledge that this funding cut will result in increased rates of infection, HIV, and hepatitis C. Instead, our city must care about the health of all people, drug users or not. I also urge council to double the current funding of mobile crisis teams to $20 million. These teams include a mental health professional, a nurse, and peer specialist, and are the first responders, not police, to people experiencing a mental health crisis. The U.S. Department of Justice asserts that the best practice for mental health crisis response are mobile crisis teams that respond without law enforcement accompaniment. In Philly, it now takes over an hour for these teams to reach a person in crisis, which is too long for someone in crisis to wait for help. Doubling the budget would cut response times in half. Thank you.
Thank you. Give your testimony.
Good afternoon, President Johnson and members of City Council. My name is Jamila Carter. I am the director of an elementary school in West Philly. I live in Southwest Philadelphia, and I've been a Philadelphia School District parent for 11 years. Today, I am speaking as an at-large member of Lift Every Voice Philly, a Black-led parent member organization. We are united across schools, race, and neighborhood to demand urgent action on our schools. I am speaking today in support of a joy-based budget to support school district children's well-being and mental health. Being a Philadelphia district parent can be daunting, especially when black children are likely to face anti-black racism. At one of the best schools in the district, when my daughter was in 5th grade, she would lie awake at night, anxious and terrified to go to school. Her teacher would yell, shame, and humiliate students, going so far as to threaten the class that if they misbehaved, they would have to return to their neighborhood schools. 11 years later, a group of black students in my 6th grader school were told to be grateful for their education because people who looked like them were denied access to a quality education in the past. Even though she was not the intended target of this encounter, she came home confused and distraught, caught in the crossfire of a group lecture that only taught shame and guilt. Not enough has changed over the past 11 years, and there is a critical need for a joy-based budget that will promote a school district with joy as one of its core values. Children should be treated like children. School is not a place for harsh discipline, shame, and strict compliance. Our children deserve to be treated gently by compassionate and supportive teachers. Our students should feel safe enough to make mistakes and learn from them. They should be given the grace and compassion that encourages self-assurance. These are not isolated incidents, and they must change. As a school principal with a background in mental health, I know that joy is absolutely critical in schools because it gives children the freedom to be creative and explore their ideas. A joyful environment decreases anxiety, builds confidence, creates strong social bonds, and allows children to flourish academically. Incidents like these are why we have launched a joy-based budget campaign calling for the district to hire a chief of joy to examine the climate of our schools, develop policies, implement programming, and provide training and development to promote a healthy and joyful learning environment. I'm also asking the district to expand STEP teams so all district children and families have access to mental health resources and support to ensure their emotional well-being. Right now, the city allocates 40% of the district's budget. I'm calling on the City Council to publicly declare your support for Lift Every Voice Philly's demand for a joy-based budget.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm kind of wondering where y'all was at when I got the paddle when I was little. That didn't feel like joy, but that's a different conversation. Can you please call the next two individuals for public comment?
Rufina Rodriguez, Amy Fowlring. And then following them will be Carla Irwin and Kay McGuffin.
Whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Hola, buenas tardes, concejales. Mi nombre es Rufina Rodríguez y he vivido en Filadelfia por más de 22 años y trabajé limpiando casas por 10 años. Ahora estoy trabajando como organizadora con la Alianza Nacional de Trabajadoras del Hogar. En mi rol yo apoyo a las trabajadoras para que ellas puedan defender sus derechos laborales. Estoy aquí para apoyar un presupuesto de 2.6 millones para la Oficina de Protección a los Trabajadores en este año fiscal.
Hello, good afternoon, council members. My name is Rufina Rodriguez. I have lived in Philadelphia for 22 years and worked cleaning houses for 10 years. I am now working as an organizer with the National Domestic Workers Alliance. In my role, I support the workers so that they can defend their labor rights. I am here to support a $2.6 million budget for the Office of Worker Protections this fiscal year.
El trabajo del hogar hace posible los demás trabajos. Nuestro trabajo es una buena contribución para la economía de Filadelfia, porque somos una industria que contribuye con los impuestos.
Domestic work makes all other jobs possible. Our work is a good contribution to Philadelphia's economy because we are a tax contributing industry.
En mis años de experiencia como trabajadora del hogar, me di cuenta que hay muchas compañeras que pasan por muchas injusticias en su trabajo. Cuando los empleadores no te necesitan, te dicen que ya no vayas a ir a trabajar más sin aviso. Los empleadores muchas veces retrasan el pago. También te dan cheques sin fondo. Tenemos una ley, la Carta de Derechos de Trabajadoras del Hogar, pero estos abusos siguen pasando.
In my years of experience as a domestic worker, I realized that there are a lot of fellow workers who go through a lot of injustices in their work. When employers don't need you, they tell you that you are not going to work anymore without notice. Employers often delay payment. They also give you bad checks. We have a law, the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, but these abuses keep happening.
El principal problema es la falta de recursos del gobierno para manejar estas infracciones. Se tarda meses para hacer las investigaciones. Por eso pedimos 2.6 millones para la Oficina de Protecciones de los Trabajadores. Con estos fondos podremos hacer más educación y alcance y también permitirá traducir más material a distintos idiomas para llegar a las comunidades. Y lo que más se necesita es contratación de mucho más investigadores para que hayan respuestas rápidas a las denuncias.
The main problem is the lack of resources in the government to handle these violations. It takes months to do investigations. That is why we are asking for the $2.6 million for the Office of Worker Protections. With these funds, we will be able to do more education and outreach, and it will also allow us to translate more material into different languages to reach more communities. And what is most needed is the hiring of many more investigators so that there will be quick responses to complaints.
Necesitamos el apoyo de todos los concejales para que la protección de trabajadores sea prioridad en esta ciudad. Gracias a todos por su tiempo.
We need the support of all council members to make worker protection a priority in this city. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you both for your testimony. you begin your testimony, please?
Thank you. Good afternoon, City Council and Council President Johnson. My name is Amy Follering. I live in West Philadelphia, and I've been a Philadelphia School District parent for nearly 6 years. My children are currently in 2nd and 5th grade. Today, I am also speaking as an at-large member of Lift Every Voice, a Black-led parent member organization. We are united across schools, race, and neighborhood to demand urgent action in our schools. I am also a member of our at-large chapter, which has representation across 15 schools. I am here speaking for a joy-based budget that allows for our children to be seen and treated as humans. We know that schools can and should be vibrant places where kids actually want to be, where play, exploration, and support helps them grow and develop their unique gifts. We also want schools to have the staffing to support children with behavioral health interventions and social work supports for students, families, teachers, and schools. We know that children will act out, but they need the proper support, not punishment. When there is not a focus on joy in our schools are not equipped with a baseline understanding of the needs of children or the bright line around what every student should have. For example, it's unacceptable and developmentally inappropriate that my 2nd grader has had silent lunch on numerous occasions because their class was quote-unquote bad. When this happens, she comes home mad at other children, which creates a toxic environment that pits kids against each other. As a 4th grader, my older child lost recess as a punishment, and this seems to be a common punishment for elementary school children across the district. I know these are not isolated incidences or that we could chalk them up to just a few teachers. I've heard stories from parents across the district. Children need lunch and recess to shout and yell and work out their energy. This should be a right, not a privilege. That's why I'm calling on City Council and the school district to do 2 immediate things. First, the district needs to create and fully fund a Chief of Joy, a senior level role charged with conducting a joy audit, dismantling dehumanizing practices, and designing policies that uphold the dignity and humanity of our children. We also need to dramatically increase the support team for educational partnership, also known as STEP teams. These teams provide crucial behavioral health interventions and social work support for students, families, and teachers. Currently, there are only 21 schools with fully staffed STEP teams and only 31 with partial teams. Right now, the city allocates over 40% of the district's budget. I'm calling on the City Council to publicly declare your support for Lift Every Voice Philly's demand for a joy-based budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Carla Irwin and Kay McGuffin. Following that will be Linnea Bond and Vivian Chang.
Good afternoon. My name is Carla Irwin. Thank you to City Council for the opportunity to speak today. I am here as a member of my local branch's Friends of the Free Library Group and a weekly user of Philadelphia's public libraries. I recently moved back to Philadelphia and was immediately confronted with obstacles in using my local branch library, Falls of Schuylkill, because it is still completely shuttered on weekends and most weeknights, and often the library is closed due to staff shortages. Contrast this with the city I most recently moved from, Las Vegas, where libraries are open 7 days a week and have extended hours almost all weeknights. How is it that the city of Philadelphia, where the American Public Lending Library was first realized thanks to Benjamin Franklin, offers less support to our libraries than Sin City? The multiple branch libraries, which should serve as shelters for thought, are suffering from neglect, outdated technology, and are grossly understaffed. The proposed funding for the Free Library, which remains flat from last year, is actually a cut when adjusted for inflation, a cut of 1% or $71.7 million. This is unacceptable. It is time for the City of Philadelphia to prioritize equitable funding for neighborhood services and public spaces, including libraries, which are safe and accessible community hubs. Research indicates that communities with better resource accessibility, such as public libraries, have lower gun violence rates. These libraries contribute to improved economic conditions and help reduce violence by fostering pro-social behaviors. The Free Library desperately needs sustainable staffing to ensure library services are available on Saturdays without needing to compensate with unexpected midweek closures. There must be a teen, adult, and children's librarian at every site. The Free Library must have robust funding for urgent physical repairs at all library branches that have been neglected due to decades of disinvestment. It is time again to recommit to Benjamin Franklin's vision and demonstrate our commitment to our public libraries, our best model of a democratic and healthy society. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Kay McGuffin. I'm here representing the Coalition for Dignity and Treatment. We are a coalition of treatment providers, healthcare workers, and researchers. We are the people that actually work in this system. First, I'm voicing our opposition to the mayor's proposed defunding of syringe exchange programs and her proposed primarily police response to our drug and overdose crisis. We passed out a petition to every one of the council members' offices earlier today demanding the city invest in evidence-based solutions to our drug and overdose crisis, signed by over 1,100 healthcare workers in the city. First, it is disappointing to hear you all talk about addressing this issue, yet you all didn't say anything when Penn Med closed down Right 4 an inpatient rehab last summer, or when Hub Cedar let a patient die last fall, leading to a state inspection that uncovered other multiple instances of patient neglect, things that make you have to think about why people don't just go to treatment. Our coalition has been and will continue to try to push Penn Med to replace those 18 inpatient rehab beds. Also, at the DBH hearing last week, I heard Council President and Councilwoman Lozada disregarding testimony about barriers to treatment. I don't really know what the solution is that you all want, but addressing barriers to treatment is it. Philly has infrastructure. Yes, let's get more beds of all levels of care, but more beds don't decrease discrimination, stigma, staff turnover, and patient neglect that currently exists in our system. We have to actually address why people aren't accessing it, why it's not effective, or why people leave AMA. And by the way, we actually have those answers. Many of the answers are in the Jefferson report that I sent to most of your offices last week. We know that opioid users in our city are trying to access treatment. Unlike what Councilman Harity always says about people needing a, quote, forced higher power, we know because we do patient escorts and advocacy all the time. But tell me what people are supposed to do when they go to an ER or a CRC and can't get proper withdrawal management. If you all want to fix things, please start by pushing our health systems to address that problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Helen, could you please call the next two individuals for public comment?
Linnea Bond, Vivian Chang.
Good afternoon. My name is Linnea Bond, and I'm speaking both as a Philadelphia resident and as the Health and Environmental Education Director for Physicians for Social Responsibility, Pennsylvania. I'm here to urge you to fully fund the Philadelphia Energy Authority at their stated need and to fund the Built to Last program at $5 million. With Hunting Park NAC and the Sierra Club, I interviewed 6 women from the Hunting Park neighborhood who had repairs through the program, creating a 20-minute documentary called What Needs to Be Done, which is a quote from one of the ladies. These senior homeowners told me that the program was a lifeline in accessing essential repairs that they had been unable to afford otherwise. They said that the program's combined repairs and weatherization lowered their energy bills, which not only saved them money, but emphasized how it helps the planet they are concerned about, as their neighborhood is already 22 degrees hotter than other neighborhoods in the summer. Several of their homes had been rewired. Several of them had received electric appliances, replacing fossil fuel appliances, and one had received leased rooftop solar as part of the program. All essential climate interventions we will need at scale throughout the city. They told me Built to Last helped prevent harms from contractors who had ripped off their neighbors, and that it helped enable health-saving interventions, including removing asthma triggers that are a leading cause of emergency visits for Philly's kids. Additionally, studies show that repairing one home decreases violence on an entire block. You have the opportunity in this budget to change lives, including and beyond the 1,100 families on the program's wait list by fully funding the PEA and funding Built to Last. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Vivian Chang. I live and work in Chinatown North. Some folks call it Callow Hill. It's Chinatown North. And I'm at Asian Americans United, where we empower and unite communities to challenge oppression and systemic racism. And I just want to ask us today, do we want to help in this city, do we want to help the rich get richer or help ordinary Philadelphians achieve their potential? If it's the former, let's think about it. You know, the city and country have a long history of exploiting and displacing people of color, but Philadelphia has a chance to turn back on that trend. A lot of folks today have mentioned the Office of Worker Protections. The city needs to fully fund that office and ensure that the most vulnerable workers doing our essential jobs are protected from exploitation. That's right. We need to increase funding for schools like CCP so that students and staff alike are supported with robust resources, small class sizes, and dignified workplaces. Philadelphia needs a community college that doesn't put Black and brown students in debt, and that requires fully funded operating budgets. And speaking of exploitation and displacement, we can't ignore how a proposed arena would harm working families of color. Thank you. The Sixers have proposed an arena in Center City that's touting thousands of jobs, but those jobs are not new. They will be low wage, part-time, seasonal. They're gonna undermine the collective worker power that folks have down in the Stadium District. So are poverty-creating jobs what we need in the city? Is that what's good for the community? Not sure. The actions of team owners, they often speak louder than their false promises. So when the Sixers moved their headquarters to Camden, they promised hundreds of jobs. Just today, only 11 Camden residents are employed there. So that's what's gonna happen if the city moves forward with the arena, and we all deserve a say in these decisions. This is a citywide issue, and we can't just fall for it again and again and lose up to $1 billion in tax revenue. So 76th Place, we know it cannot be built without destroying this last working class community of color in Center City, and I don't think that's the legacy we want for our city. Thank you. So let's do better. Let's fund schools, libraries, transit, worker protections, everything for Philadelphians and nothing for billionaires. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jenny Shang and Eliza Eastman. Following those two to testify will be Pamela Darville and Helen Frazier.
Say the name again.
Jenny Schwang and Eliza Eastman. Pamela Darville.
You can begin your testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Jenny Zhang. I am a resident of Chinatown, and I also attend church in Chinatown. So I think I really want to start this with this question of, are we a city of neighborhoods, or are we the city of billionaires doing whatever they want? The city budget needs to fully fund public services that keep communities safe, healthy, and whole. Programs like the Built to Last Fund need $5 million to provide holistic, resilient, and green home repairs that keep people in their homes and prevent displacement of communities. As someone who works closely with the AAPI community, this is something that AAPI and all communities need in our city. The city budget needs to include deep investments in the most marginalized communities in Philadelphia. Our parks, recreation centers, and libraries are the front lines that connect our communities to resources and city services. All the neighborhoods we serve across the city deserve to be fully funded, fully staffed, and linguistically accessible. Thousands of dollars in standardized program funding for every site to ensure free and equitable access to creation for all youth. After decades of tax giveaways and attempts at trickle-down economics, corporations and luxury developers need to pay their fair share in taxes. We know that real economic development comes from having fully funded schools, city services, resilient communities, not tax giveaways that take money away from vital city services. It's becoming clearer and clearer that 76th Place, this proposed arena in Chinatown, will be subsidized by taxpayers like us. It's a big giveaway to 76 DevCorp. The developers have already detailed a major city tax break they plan to take advantage of. The site for the arena is worth over $7 million, and 76th Place won't pay any property taxes. That is money lost from our city budget for our kids. And as Vivian said earlier, $1 billion lost in tax revenue. 76 DevCorp have said that they won't take any city taxes, but they haven't signed a legally binding agreement to that effect, and they still won't answer who will pay for infrastructure upgrades the arena would require, like rerouting SEPTA, changes to sewage and electric, or traffic management. Every tax dollar that subsidized 76th Place isn't going to our families, our schools, our healthcare, or streets, or our rec centers. Let's fully fund our public services, not line billionaires' pockets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pamela Darville, good afternoon.
Good
My name is Pamela Darville, and I'm a long-term resident of Germantown and a retired civil rights attorney. I serve as the co-chair of Power Interfaith's Climate Justice and Jobs team. Power is a racially diverse, multi-faith movement that works for racial and economic justice on a livable planet. We're made up of congregations and individuals across Philadelphia and beyond. We're asking City Council to fully fund the Philadelphia Energy Authority's budget. Requests including the $5 million for the Built to Last program. We join our allies today in calling for a budget that fully funds public services that keep communities safe, healthy, and whole. Built to Last is an essential service. Everyone deserves healthy and safe housing, whether they live in Germantown, Hunting Park, Grays Ferry, or Lawncrest. And no one should have to choose between paying their utility bills and buying other essentials. We need large-scale public investment to address multiple crises in our city, including the loss of affordable housing, poverty, gun violence, and the climate emergency. Built to Last is so important because it addresses multiple problems at once. The initiative provides comprehensive home repairs to low-income homeowners, along with weatherization and clean energy upgrades, like heat pumps and solar panels. It builds on the success of the Basic System Repair Program, coordinating this program with other programs and providing additional services that are not otherwise available. Built to Last ensures that residents' homes are safe and healthy and ensure their energy bills are affordable. The program enables people to stay in their homes, preventing displacement and stabilizing communities. Research has shown from Dr. Eugenia South at Pennsylvania University that investment in home repairs prevents gun violence. Finally, Built to Last replaces polluting fossil fuels with clean energy. It's crucial for achieving our city's climate goal. A $5 million investment from the city will enable Philadelphia to leverage $25 million of federal investment through the Inflation Reduction Act. Built to Last began doing transformative work in its pilot phase, serving hundreds of residents. The need is vast. We urge you to dedicate city funding now so the Energy Authority can continue and expand this critical program. We're counting on you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Next up is Helen Frazier. Helen Frazier and Brett Bessler. Following those two will be Ian Schneider and Will Tung. Can I take this? I'm so thirsty.
You can begin.
Okay. Hi, my name is Helen Fraser. I'm a resident of Philadelphia, and I have been practicing harm reduction for 7 years, for 6 years doing outreach specifically in Kensington. I'm here on behalf of the coalition, Philadelphia Coalition for Dignity and Treatment. I want to acknowledge that I'm here speaking on behalf of an issue that largely affects Kensington, despite not being from Kensington myself. I'm here today because I have a job I can take PTO from. I have a phone with internet, so I could find out exactly when and where I had to be to testify, and I have a state-issued ID that's required to enter this building. There are many residents of Kensington, whether they live on the street, in a shelter, in stable housing, who do not have those things that are necessary to come and make their voices heard. But I want to remind the City Council today that you are still accountable to those Philadelphians, just as I consider myself accountable to them as a harm reductionist. I am urging this council to continue to fund syringe services at Prevention Point and elsewhere in the city. There is a clear push by the Kensington Caucus to force folks into treatment, giving them the quote-unquote option of going to jail, which means an unmedicated withdrawal and an extremely high likelihood of fatal overdose upon release, or inpatient treatment that likely will not be a fit for them, will take them out of the place they currently call home, and frankly, may not exist. The recent study that Kay mentioned from the Thomas Jefferson University mapping treatment landscape in our city, it shows that our treatment landscape is fragmented. Someone in recovery described it as a big carousel ride. But instead of working with folks like the coalition I am a part of, the city is focused on taking away the already very limited services that this population has, and instead are herding them into underfunded and overcrowded jails. We already have examples of how forced treatment does not work, and actually in Massachusetts, it led to a 2 times higher likelihood of dying of fatal overdose if you were forced into treatment, rather as opposed to those who sought it voluntarily. I just want to say the amount of money that the sheriff's office spent on a foam cowgirl mascot, $9,000 something would have bought 115,625 sterile syringes, which is 115,625 opportunities for a drug user in this city to prevent the transmission of HIV, Hep C, to stave off skin and soft tissue infections, to talk to someone who actually will treat them with compassion about what other medical services they might need, which likely would include treatment and of their choosing. So I just really want to urge this council to not pass a budget that does not include funding for Prevention Point. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Brett Bessler. I'm the Vice President and Business Agent of AFSCME DC 47, Local 2186. If you appreciate our Philadelphia municipal workers and our union workers, let me get a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hey, there you go. All right, I'm here to talk about vacancies, folks. My members in Philadelphia Parks and Recreation have been texting me incessantly while I've been waiting to come up here. They've been told that they're only going to get 2 seasonal workers for their camps. We have camps that have over 150 participants, and you need 1 adult per 15 children. How are we going to do that? I don't know. Maybe y'all can figure it out and make a phone call, send an email to Sue Lawson or something like that. All right, like I said, my name is Brett Bessler. I proudly serve the members as the Vice President and Business Agent of AFSCME DC 47, Local 2186. My president is right behind us, Jennifer Reed. First and foremost, I want to extend my gratitude to this council body for providing a platform for residents and union members to advocate for a fair, just, and robust budget that adequately addresses our needs in delivering high-quality, consistent services across all departments represented by our esteemed union. Like many present in this chambers today, I'm deeply concerned about the significant number of vacancies persisting throughout the city of Philadelphia and our ongoing reliance on our members to achieve more with fewer resources. As of November 2023, Increment Run, Philadelphia Parks and Recreation is operating with a staggering 30% vacancy rate, amounting to 274 vacancies. DHS has a 22% vacancy rate, totaling 421 vacancies. L&I, 24% vacancy rate with 108 unfilled positions. And PWD reports 508 vacancies, equating to 21% vacancy rate. I don't want to see any surprised faces. Well, read the budget. In these 4 departments alone, we have over 1,000 jobs available for residents of the city of Philadelphia. Each unfilled vacancy represents a missed opportunity for Philadelphians to secure positions offering decent wages, which could be improved, and we hope they're improved this summer when we go into contract negotiations. Let me get 10-10-5 over 3 years. Access to health care, pensions, and sometimes union representation. While these benefits can enhance recruitment and retention efforts, the persistent trend of unfilled vacancies still poses a significant challenge. To put it simply, the city of Philadelphia, as the largest employer in our municipality, must strive to be the most attractive employer in the city of Philadelphia. Addressing these substantial vacancy rates across departments requires prioritization and collaborative efforts. A safer, cleaner, and greener Philadelphia offering high quality and consistent services cannot be achieved if our workforce and our members continue to be overburdened and expected to achieve more with less. We eagerly anticipate collaborating with the City of Philadelphia and this council body to establish pathways for filling these vacancies and empowering our members to excel as civil servants. When vacancies are filled, recreation centers and libraries can remain open, water main breaks can be promptly addressed, our most vulnerable youth can receive the attention that they require, and our infrastructure and properties can be assessed to ensure occupant safety. Throughout this fiscal year, I urge this council body to meticulously monitor the progress of filling these vacancies and take all necessary measures to hold these departments accountable for utilizing the allocated funds that you all give them. Tell them to actually use the money that you're approving. Should any challenges arise, let us work together, work with us in DC 47, Local 2186, and Local 2187, and Local 810. We'll work together to identify and address the root causes to ultimately position the City of Philadelphia as the premier employer in this city. Thank you.
Good job, Barry. Mr. Bessler. We have a point of information by Chairman Phillips.
Wait,
Mr.
you can come
Bessler.
on back. If you can
Mr.
come on back,
Bessler.
come on back, come back. I just had a point of information. Thank you for your testimony. As the chair of Parks and Rec, I just wanted to get clarification on, from your standpoint, maybe 60 seconds, what is the reason for that people who are employed with Parks and Rec, what are they saying are the reasons for the vacancies? Like, what are causing these amount of vacancies? Why have they not fulfilled these vacancies?
Sure. I mean, a lot of it comes down to safety. We have, as a former recreation leader myself, when I served in the field, I went through more shootings than I can count on both hands. While it does appear to be a very fun job, it is a very stressful job. It is a very dangerous job. And the other thing is, let's be real. Recreation leader starts off with the City of Philadelphia, I believe, at $40,000. That's not a sustainable wage. To live in the City of Philadelphia, our members are required to live in the City of Philadelphia, and they don't make enough money to live here. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And, I could go on and on. I know you're big on safety, sir. Please look at the budget. You want to increase park rangers. I want that to happen too. I want more safety at our rec centers. I want more park ranger supervisors in my local for over 154 recreation centers, and I don't think that includes all the neighborhood parks and Fairmount Park. Fairmount Park is the largest urban park system in the world if you exclude municipalities that include beachfront. We have a gem in this city, and you have 26 rangers to take care of it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bessler. State your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Hi, my name is Will Tung, T-U-N-G. I want to say before I begin, thank you for wearing the Build the Roosevelt Boulevard subway pin, sporting it proudly along with the other members here of City Council. Thank you very much for your vision, and thank you for having your back on that issue. Council President Johnson, members of City Council, my name is Will Tung. I'm a block captain.
Can we quiet it down, please? Give him his respect while he does his testimony.
Thank you. I'm a block captain of the 5100 block of Springfield Avenue in Kingsessing and a member of Fifth Square. Crucial to achieving a safer, cleaner, greener city that we all want, we must provide for folks to travel by walking, biking, and public transportation. I'm here to echo the many fellow residents asking for more resources toward traffic safety. I have personally suffered from traffic violence in 2020 while walking in my neighborhood. My entire family, including my wife and our 6-year-old daughter, was struck by a careless driver over at 48th and Springfield. We could have easily been killed, and too many Philadelphians are killed on our streets every year. Vision Zero means more than speed bumps. If we're serious about reaching the goal of zero roadway deaths, We need more road diets so cars have less room to speed. We need more daylighting at intersections so drivers can see pedestrians. And we need a full network of protected bike lanes so that bicycling is a viable transportation option. I applaud my Councilmember Gautier, who's not here, in her incredible work making sure the 3rd District is safer, and I hope every council member here will have the same passion for traffic safety. I'm asking for an increase in funding to $3 million for line item 70.1, Vision Zero capital projects. I also ask for more SEPTA funding, which is possible by expanding the city's existing zero fare program and expanding student passes to cover every K-12 student, no matter where they live. And one last item is the inner-city bus terminal on Spring Garden Street. It's an embarrassment, right? As one of the nation's largest cities and host to the World Cup in 2026, we urgently need a real plan for a connected and accessible inner-city bus terminal, and I urge the city to fund $2 million to the Streets Department for a solution to this issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. How much you say for Vision Zero?
An increase in funding to $3 million. Right now it's at $1 million. And it was at 2.5 last year.
Was it 2.5, so they cut 1.5?
They cut it, right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next up is Nikki Grant and Jamar Williams. Nikki Grant and Jamar Williams. Christian Vaughn.
You can begin your testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Nikki Grant, and I'm the Policy Director at Amistad Law Project. I'm also a member of the Alliance for a Just Philadelphia and the Treatment Not Trauma Coalition. Public safety is a top priority in this city. We all want our neighborhoods to be safe. Unfortunately, the fiscal year 2025 budget does not reflect our values. Last year, the Lenfest Institute survey told us that 87% of Philadelphians believe we need more access to mental health services and drug treatment. Additionally, last fall, a Movement for Black Lives national survey reported that 86% of respondents support non-police first responders who could de-escalate violence and provide mental health support and other social services. However, this budget has proposed cuts for mental health first responders back to fiscal year 2022 levels at a time when we desperately need to be increasing mobile crisis funding. Across Philadelphia, 21% of adults have a serious mental health issue. That means that at least 1 in 5 adults in Philadelphia is at risk of experiencing a mental health crisis. When a neighbor or loved one is experiencing a behavioral health or behavioral health crisis, a mobile crisis team who can de-escalate the situation and connect them to the help they need should be the first responder, not the police. Right now, it takes over an hour for a mobile crisis team to reach a person in crisis, if they come at all. An hour and 8 minutes is too long for someone in crisis to wait for help. Funding for mobile crisis should be doubled in order to at least cut response times in half. However, the fiscal year 25 budget is going in the wrong direction by proposing to cut funding for mobile crisis from $10 million down to $7.2 million. A budget that prioritizes the health and safety of Philadelphians must expand mobile crisis teams, not flatten or reduce them. We can't afford to go backwards. Investments in good public goods and services like mobile crisis teams, community-based violence prevention, harm reduction, protecting workers and renters, youth programming, public schools, housing, parks, recreation centers, and libraries. These are the things that keep us safe and make our communities whole. Please pass a budget that works for the people of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Council President Johnson and members of the City Council.
Morning. Good afternoon,
Good afternoon, excuse me.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
We all been here all day.
Good evening,
It's all
yeah.
good,
It's a long day, man, excuse me. But my name is Chris, and I'm an organizer with the Philly Black Workers Project, and we deserve a people's budget. I grew up having more than others, but soon felt the the impact of not having. So I do have a certain type of standard stepping off the porch. And while learning how to adult better and moving and growing up in Philadelphia and the surrounding area, work was paramount. Poverty was not. Despite the acknowledgement that we cannot police our way out of poverty, that's definitely not the way we need to live. Give it back to the U.S. citizens of Philadelphia so that we can get some type of clarity, and that starts at home. Ask yourself, why these kids and adults act the way they do? It's because they do not have the right resources and direction, let alone finances, and before all that, work to leave them busy, whether in the home or out and about. It's almost like an allowance, per se. You can't tell a kid, you can't tell a kid or anyone to be good without incentives. And as to why, and part of that is because the single parent doesn't have enough work resources or finances to give their children positive resources, outlooks in their circumstances. You get the kids and adults acting out because of the world around them being so difficult to navigate the right way in order to better their circumstances. Imagine waking up every day not being able to do what you want to do, and what affects me, and what has affected me primarily even now. We are all in the same boat, and once we as Americans realize that no one is better than anyone and that work has to be done for us to survive, and the only way for us to start treading new waters is to help us, and that starts with the people's budget. The Department of Labor needs the money for us. I believe black workers all workers, for that matter, deserve higher wages and more benefits for our temp workers and full-time workers, plus $2.6 million for the Office of Workers Protection. Although Philly is one of the poorest cities, we can change that narrative. We have to believe in the power of the people. And for us to make it right for us, we find money for luxury apartments and office buildings and over $1 billion for policing and prisons. If we can find that, we can find money for the people's budget. Philadelphia workers have fought long and hard, and we will keep fighting for what's right for families and circumstances at hand. And we plan to fight even more to see it through. We deserve better, especially reparations, and we want to start there. Ancestors telling us what we need to take back. But in all reality, Philadelphians have known for decades the formula and the remedies, but how is it that our city council leaders lack? That's the question people ask in these streets. We need to tighten up. Make this happen for everyone who wants to help. They can get it. But our job would be done because we open up the option for those people, including myself, to decide. Let that be the case rather than not having any type of resources or foundation to help people's circumstances and then wonder why people are tripping out. We are not stupid. We all have some form of education. We can see the faces of our people to know that, and we discuss it all the time in our economy and everything. In this budget cycle, the mayor is proposing to cut the budget by $400,000. Instead,
You can wrap up, bro.
all right, this last paragraph, excuse me. My bad. Instead, we need the city to stand with all the workers and make hard-fought rights a reality by funding the Office of Workers Protection with the $2.6 million it needs to defend labor justice. It's clear and evident that we need to get it right this time around, or suffer in the long run, which we don't deserve.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Next up, we have Munira Edens and Mason Carter.
I do want to ask for the following individuals as we keep this process moving forward. Will there be any other topics besides Built to Last, Office of Worker Protection, supporting Parks and Rec, as well as Vision Zero capital budget? Just raise your hand. Okay. Just wanted to be clear. That's all. Taking the litmus test, because we also want to make sure, in terms of individuals having an opportunity to participate, that we also give individuals who didn't comment on repetitious issues the opportunity to come up and say something a little bit different than we're already consistently hearing, because we definitely got the message and we definitely want to make sure people are still heard as well. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, yeah, my name is Mason Carter. Thank you, President Johnson, for having us today. And I'm speaking on behalf of funding public transit. And so I think that it's been really great that the mayor has suggested basically having $117 million allocated to public transit over 5 years. I think that the city could really transform that even more by totally matching the $161 million contribution from Pennsylvania that Governor Shapiro proposes. Specifically, I think, especially kind of, if you spread that $161 million over 5 years, you could really afford the system to not just scrape by, but really transform certain things. Like, I'm thinking like cleaning stations. You know, that's something that you constantly have to do because you have to build a culture for keeping our stations clean. I clean litter off my block every week, and I've been doing it for 6 months, and the more and more consistently I can do it, the more clean it stays for longer. And so that's an example that I think that if the city really thinks about this in terms of a ridership investment project, we're investing not just capital dollars, but we're investing in our riders. And it's all connected. I mean, we've talked about so many amazing programs today, but it's really the transit that holds the glue together to make everything else happen. We're a dynamic organism of a city where people are coming in and out, and we really need people to be able to do that quickly, efficiently, cheaply, so that they're not being bogged down and that they can have opportunities to meet each other, have jobs, all of that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello, Council President Johnson and members of the City Council. My name is Manira Edens. I'm a member of the Philly Black Worker Project, here fighting for $2.6 million to go to the Department of Labor for the Office of Workers Protection. When asked where I'm from, I'm proud to say Philly, but our city is built off the labor of working people like myself, and we deserve better protections and enforcements. Our people, our city, our budget. It is our tax dollars. It is our tax dollars, and we know where the budget should focus on to support our neighbors, families, and friends. Not only am I part of the tax-paying working class here in the city of Philadelphia, but I am also privy to the injustices formed against me not to succeed in the communities where leaders like myself are from. Being from the projects and eventually having to spend time in jail, I was heading towards failure is what the stereotype is. When I came home, I found myself working at multiple temp agencies on my many days off as a cashier at McDonald's, making our minimum wage of $7.25. I couldn't take care of my 2 grown boys the way I wanted to over something that I paid my time for. I was paid $7.25 for hard labor that I had to train for. I would strip, wax, and buff floors. I would unload trucks with heavy food because I was the only one working, and when I fought for more, I was taken off the schedule. If we had better protections, there would have been consequences for those bad bosses. With a $2.6 million budget, workers like myself have support and are not afraid to confront injustices we face at the workplace. Philadelphia workers have fought for and won groundbreaking labor rights protections such as the Wage Theft Ordinance, Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, Fair Work Week, paid sick time. The duty of the Office of Worker Protections, which is under the Department of Labor, is to enforce these laws when they are violated by employers. Unfortunately, with 1 full-time staff member for every 197,000 Philadelphians, it makes it impossible for every complaint to be answered. Without a properly staffed Office of Worker Protection, I am not protected when I go on strike and my boss wants to fire me. To keep our city safe and thriving, we need investments in education and programs that keeps our children busy and motivated. City services and programs like libraries and recreation centers need to be fully stocked with resources and staff. In this budget cycle, the mayor is proposing to cut the budget by $400,000. Instead, we need the city to stand with all workers and make our hard-fought rights a reality by funding the Office of Worker Protection with the $2.6 million it needs to defend labor justice.
Thank you.
Oh, one last thing. Our city budget shows a third of the pie going towards police and prisons. How shameful. What that shows, wait a minute, what that shows me is that I'm sorry, but what that shows me is that we have a budget investing in a pipeline straight to prison. Investing in unmarked cars, cell phone and video software, drones, and other police equipment breaks my heart, knowing how disinvested this budget is in our children. With luxury apartments being built around every corner I turn around, it's unfortunate that I see growing potholes around these same corners. The people's budget is what we need. $2.6 million for the Office of Worker Protection. Our city, our budget.
That's right.
Next up, we have Aquila David and Alexandra Rivera. Following them will be Richard Gliniak and Wanya Allen.
Hello, how you doing? You can begin your testimony.
Thank you, Council President Johnson. My name is Malik Pickett. I'm a senior attorney at Juvenile Law Center, and I'll be reading the testimony of Aquila David, who is a youth advocate with our office, but she had to leave. I was a young person who was incarcerated here in Philadelphia, and I believe with this new budget, we can really invest in more opportunities for young people to thrive. One way to do that is to increase funding for pre-petition diversion programs. These programs should keep youth out of the formal system, focus on youth development and repairing harm, and not rely on court or probation monitoring. Diversion programs and community-based alternatives have proven to be successful. In 2022, 348 youth in Philadelphia were diverted, and only 15% were rearrested. In 2023, 407 youth in Philadelphia were diverted, and the rearrest rate dropped even further to 12%. These numbers show that these programs are effective. There are more solutions aside from incarceration, and the city needs to invest in them. Youth that are incarcerated are being exposed to many harms. Many youth in facilities are abused, their education is stopped or limited, and they are disconnected from their friends, family, and community. Incarceration is also much more expensive for a young person than diverting those youth and keeping them in their communities. These cost savings can be reinvested into communities to create and expand other diversion programs. For example, we need to invest in restorative justice programs like Healing Futures. The Healing Futures program allows youth who would otherwise be sent to the juvenile justice system to repair any harm caused without exposing them to the harms of incarceration. Instead of relying solely on a punitive response to harm, Healing Futures facilitates an exploration of accountability, healing, and transformation. Programs such as Healing Futures gives youth the opportunity for a brighter future, and that is worth the investment.
Thank you. Go ahead, begin.
Hello, I'm Alexandria. I'm a youth advocate with Juvenile Law Center. Diversion programs and community-based alternatives to incarceration will not only save the city money and create better outcomes for all youth. They will also prevent overcrowding at facilities. For the past year, the Philadelphia Local Detention Center for Youth has been severely overcrowded, which has resulted in youth experience lack of education, inhumane sleeping conditions, and unnecessary violence. This was caused because too many youth are sent to the system, often for minor offenses. The common sense solution is to divert more youth and keep them out of the system. Instead of investing money into correctional facilities like the JJSC, we should invest in the communities and programs that will both help and keep our youth safe. Currently, there is legislation in the Pennsylvania, I'm sorry. All right. And the Pennsylvania legislators that will do just that. House Bill 1381 recognizes and I'm sorry, I lost where I was. I'm sorry. Oh, House Bill 1381 recognized and what is that? Okay. The effectiveness, I can't say that word correctly, I'm sorry, but of diversion programs and requires that certain youth be diverted prior to even entering the juvenile justice system. Legislators like HB 1381 singles that we as a society should care about the safety and well-being of our youth. I also wanted to highlight the importance of Office of Youth Ombudsman. This office funded by the city must be empowered to fulfill its purpose. The office was created as an independent body to protect youth in the system. Too often, youth are abused and mistreated in the system and have nowhere to turn for help. That's why it's so important that the Office of Youth Ombudsman has access to youth in facilities and hear their complaints to ensure these facilities are safe for children. Council should ensure that the office is given access to facilities and the ability to talk to young people directly and all data about youth well-being. This office is only as effective, I can say it correctly, as we empower it to be, We need to ensure that it is
equitable. It's cool, but we're going to wrap up too, though.
Funded, yes, I know, my last sentence. And as strong as possible for the sake of these children in Philadelphia.
Good job, thank you. Sorry, it's cool. Good job. It ain't easy coming up here and sitting in front of a whole bunch of strangers advocating for an issue, so good job. Helen, could you please call up the two next individuals?
Richard Gliniak, Wanya Allen. Following those two will be Ashley Tracy and Erica Brown.
Go ahead and begin your testimony.
Hello, so my name is Wanya Allen. I'm a part of the Sunrise Movement here in Philly. I'm also a part of the Alliance for a Just Philly as well. Shout out to all of you.
Just real quick, with the Alliance for the Just Philly, could we get a copy of your budget proposal from members of council? I think I've heard 2 or 3 members reference it, but I don't think as a body we've ever had a chance to at least take a look at it, or I haven't received any information, just so we can digest it. Thank you very much.
They brought it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please begin your testimony.
All right, so I stand before you today not only as a product of our community, but also as someone deeply concerned about its future. Our parks, recreations, rec centers, and libraries are more than just buildings. They are the heart and soul of our neighborhoods, yet as I look around, I see these vital resources crumbling before our eyes. Growing up, these places were my refuge. The parks where I played with friends, the rec centers where I learned new skills, and the library where I discovered the joy of learning. They gave me a sense of pride, belonging, and peace, but now I see rec centers all around the city falling apart. These once vibrant hubs of activity are understaffed and underfunded, unable to provide the same enriching experiences they once did for me. It breaks my heart to see the potential of these spaces stifled by neglect. We all remember the simple joy of going to the park, hanging out with friends, grabbing a snack, or doing arts and crafts. These were the moments that shaped our childhoods and created lasting memories. But for many children today, these opportunities are becoming increasingly scarce. We cannot allow our park, rec centers, and libraries to fade into obscurity. They are the lifeblood of our communities, providing essential services and opportunities for growth and development. By investing in these resources, we not only assure a brighter future for our city, but also uphold the dignity and well-being of all its residents. So I ask you to remember the importance of these places and to prioritize the revitalization and support. Let us work today to ensure that every child in our city has access to the same enriching experiences and opportunities that I was fortunate enough to have. Let's not invest in public services for billionaires' neighborhoods who don't even like to pay their fair share. Thank you for your time and your dedication to the future of Philadelphia.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Johnson and members of the City Council. My name is Richard Glaniak, a Democratic committee person in the 30th Ward Graduate Hospital, South Philly area. A Sosna board member on their Clean and Green Committee, Zoning, Vision Zero as well. I am also a Philadelphia Crosstown Coalition delegate, Liberty City member, and a distant past streets department engineer. I come before you today to talk about street repaving, potholes, plumbing ditches, line striping, and crosswalks, specifically how the money budgeted for street repaving needs to be substantially increased well beyond what is proposed. As a person protected by ADA with some mobility issues, made worse recently 2 years ago when I was hit by a car at 22nd and Walnut, on Monday I attended a meeting hosted by the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. The Streets Department was also present at that meeting. Discussed was the time necessary for street lighting, the time given for a person with mobility issues to cross the intersection. I took a picture of this intersection at 16th and Chestnut, and no amount of time could be possibly given for this to be crossed by somebody in a wheelchair or with mobility issues. I raised this, there is no safe amount of time. For the past decade, we have been totally underfunding street repaving. In the beginning of 2015, or in the beginning of that decade, we only actually repaved 30 miles per year. To adequately repave roads, it should be at 131. So currently, given the past year's underfunding for repaving, we are down by 700 miles. So while I applaud the increases in street repaving that the mayor has proposed, I think we need to go well beyond that just to catch up. In my view, streets are a basic necessity, a basic right, and also and something that could negatively affect those that have mobility issues from just getting around. So please do whatever you can to increase the budget beyond what is already proposed.
Thank you, Rich.
My apologies for not having something formal. I worked the polls all day yesterday. I am a little bit tired right now, and God bless you all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Next up, we have Ashley Tracy and Erica Brown. Following those two to testify is Jarrett Johnson and Adrian Lohman.
Hey, Anna, I need my phone.
You want to use it for a timer?
For my notes, but you can go.
Oh, gotcha. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ashley. I am Deputy Director of the Pennsylvania Bipartisan Climate Initiative. I live in Fishtown, and I ride the L at least 5 days a week. I am here on behalf of Young Involved Philadelphia, a member of the Transit Forward Philadelphia Coalition. I stand before you today in support of Mayor Parker's proposed budget increase dedicated to SEPTA. The challenges SEPTA has faced have not only hindered the daily commutes of countless residents, but have also stifled opportunities for economic growth, a healthy environment, which is dictated by our rights under the Pennsylvania Environmental Rights Amendment, social equity, and enhanced mobility for individuals of all backgrounds and physical abilities. A robust system helps individuals avoid the burden of transportation costs. The average cost of car ownership in Pennsylvania sits at about $6,500 a year, whereas the average yearly cost for a SEPTA monthly pass
sits at $1,656, not surpassing $2,448. For this reason, while we support the mayor's proposal, we would like to mention that this is the bare minimum. In the near future, we would ask for even more funding so the low-income, zero-fare program can move beyond its pilot stage and service the many low-income Philadelphians who benefit from free transit. From Tokyo to London, public transportation is a catalyst for progress and prosperity. By investing in SEPTA, we demonstrate our commitment to joining the ranks of these world-class cities where efficient and accessible transit networks serve as the lifeblood of urban civilization and a thriving economy. I urge the esteemed members of council to stand with the voices of young Philadelphians and prioritize the funding necessary to bolster SEPTA's operations. Thank you for your attention and dedication to the well-being of this city.
Thank you.
I'm gonna grab that real quick. I got it. Okay, here we go. My name is Erica. Y'all know me already? Okay, great. My name's Erica. Y'all know me already. Y'all already know we need more funding for parks and rec and libraries in the city. We did the math. At least we need $280 million for rec centers, at least $200 million for libraries to stop violence in this city. But, you know, I get it. Y'all have hard jobs, right? You go and tour the rec centers. You tour the libraries. You have to shake the hands of the families with anguish on their face, right? And you have to sit in these hearings, hearing after hearing. I don't know how you stay awake, right? But you have a lot of help. Everyone who came here today is an essential worker. We were talking in COVID, right? Essential worker, essential worker. Some reason we stopped talking about that, right? Without domestic workers, homes, hotels, unlivable. Without teachers, kids don't learn. Without libraries, kids don't read. Without rec centers, kids don't learn how to exercise, right? Without library workers, young black people get shot. Without rec center workers, young black people get shot, right? But I understand. The mayor gave you a piece of paper, and she really likes that piece of paper, right? But what we're asking you to do is to organize, like all of us organized to come here. How all of us organized to stay here even though this went 90 minutes late. I called Sonia Sanders, right? She was gonna speak. She said, Erica, I had to go to work. Sonia Sanders is the hardest worker I know. Because Sonia Sanders went door to door, organizing her community to shut down the PES oil refinery that was poisoning her community for 150 years, right? And we know that it just takes 9, right? If 9 of you come together and say, Mayor Parker, we need to save lives. Mayor Parker, we need more funding for HR so we can fill these vacancies. Mayor Parker, we need more funding to give higher wages to fill these vacancies. Mayor Parker, we need grants. Jamie Gote, love, we need a grants writer so we can get more funding from the state and from the federal government. If you say, Mayor Parker, if you really, really like this piece of paper, will you at least put one shining rec center in my district, one shining library in my district? Because we need to save lives. So we're asking you to organize, because when we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win.
When we fight,
we win. Thank you, Erica.
Next up, we have Jarrett Johnson and Adrian Lohman. Following those two to testify will be Ken Bygos and Nicole Brunette.
You can begin your testimony to say your name.
Good afternoon, Council President Johnson and members of Congress, City Council members, members of the public. My name is Jarrett Johnson. I'm a transit advocate and environmental advocate. I live in West Philadelphia. I'm here today representing 5th Square and Transit for Philadelphia. I'm here to talk about the crucial need for local funding for SEPTA, but before I get into that, I want to commend SEPTA for the acquisition of the fuel cell buses that'll be at their headquarters tomorrow. I'm going to try and go to that. And I also want to congratulate on the low-income fare program that's been approved, as well as the Key Advantage and the fare installation at 69th Street. All those are good and well, but at the same time, there needs to be more work done. So I'm here today to talk about the crucial need for local funding for SEPTA, as well as the inner-city bus terminal in the area. On behalf of Transit for Philadelphia, we need to continue to have your support to make sure our citizens have a way to get to their destinations. First, I want to talk about SEPTA. As you all know, that SEPTA is facing a fiscal cliff if there's no funding. Many commuters who ride are people of different ethnic backgrounds, disabled people and senior citizens who rely on this transit and don't want their services cut. If there is a lack of funding, or if their services will be cut, it will be hard for these citizens to get around. I have talked to these individuals in the last 2 years who are active in the city. They're just like you and me. And the only way to get around is SEPTA. So I ask you to approve funding for SEPTA and think about your neighbors. Think about your brothers and sisters, mothers, daughters, grandmothers, granddaughters. Second and lastly, I want to discuss the need for an inner-city bus terminal. I urge the council members to look hard to find a permanent location for the Greyhound bus terminal. The city of Philadelphia is a world-class city. As the last speaker has noted, this city has been a world of firsts, from the first library to the first hospital. I mean, people don't have no money to shelf to get an Uber. I mean, $30 to $60 a week for an Uber? What the heck? I mean, are you serious? Groceries cost more than that. This is not acceptable. So I urge council members to approve the funding for an inner-city bus terminal, because we're better than this. We're better than New York City and Los Angeles combined. So I urge council members to find a permanent bus terminal for people to have access to bathrooms instead of walking in and out a block in the colder winters. They need shelter to wait on buses.
Thank you very much for your
So
testimony,
thank
sir.
you very much, council member.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for considering my testimony today. My name is Adrian Lohman, and as a regular user of our city's bike lanes and public transit system, I am here to advocate for the expansion of protected bike lanes and improved transit options as part of our Complete Streets initiative. The 2025 draft budget has rightly prioritized economic opportunity for all, which aligns with the goals of enhancing both biking and transit facilities. Biking and transit are not only sustainable forms of transit, but they are also economically accessible. They enable any Philadelphian to lower their cost of transportation, promoting greater financial stability and economic opportunity for all. The draft budget also prioritizes safety. As you know, traffic fatalities rose again in 2022. It has come to my attention that there are considerations to remove the recently installed bike lanes on Market Street. In my opinion, this would be a move in the wrong direction. It is crucial that council members recognize the extensive use of these bike lanes and the safety they provide not only to cyclists, but also to transit users, pedestrians, and drivers. For example, the redesign of Washington Avenue, which includes protected bike lanes that narrow and slow the road, has significantly increased safety and decreased the number of crashes on the eastern half of the road over the past year. We should be funding these treatments for all similar road designs. With that said, I strongly urge City Council to maintain and bolster our investments in Complete Streets and transit in the upcoming budget. Bless you. We're falling behind our peer cities like Montreal, which has just allocated $30 million to expanding their already expansive bike network in 2024 alone. To compare, our proposed 2025 budget allocates only $1 million to Vision Zero projects. Increasing our investment is crucial to ensuring a safer, more inclusive, and economically resilient Philadelphia. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Shout out to our city, our budget. We're the ones that get things going. We're the ones that keep the city afloat.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next up, we have Ken Bygos and Nicole Brunette. Following that, we have Alexander Clark.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well.
You begin your testimony. State your name for the record.
Yes. Hello, my name is Nicole Brunet. I'm the Policy Director for the Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia. Thank you, Council President and members of Council. I am testifying in support of a gradual increase in funds from the City for Vision Zero. As part of the Livable Communities Coalition led by AARP-PA, the work of this coalition has led to a steady increase in the city's Vision Zero budget contribution since FY22. Mayor Parker's proposed budget includes a Vision Zero budget line of $9 million over 6 years, which is a significant reduction compared to FY24's final budget of $15 million over 6 years. For FY25 budget, the Bicycle Coalition and the Livable Communities Coalition proposed the following budget requests for Vision Zero. We propose 1 year $3 million for line 70.1, the Vision Zero capital projects, designate $1 million under the grading and paving for speed cushions, traffic calming, and other bike lane and trail maintenance, and $600,000 for transit improvements in order to implement transit improvements in the city's 5 high-priority corridors. These requests are rooted in Philadelphia's goal of eliminating traffic fatalities by 2050. Mayor Parker's executive order sets a goal of building improvements on every mile of the high-injury network by 2030. We need to invest in paving, we need to invest in Vision Zero in order to do this. These issues are important to me not just as a member of the Bicycle Coalition, but as a person who's unfortunately knows the impacts of losing a loved one. Including a friend, community organizer, and Bicycle Coalition alum, Andrea Gonzalez. Last year, Philadelphia lost over 120 people in traffic crashes. These incidents are preventable, unacceptable, and I'm looking at City Council, the mayor, our state and federal partners to take this issue seriously and prioritize safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Alex Clark. I'm a resident of Northern Liberties. Thank you, City Council, for providing me the opportunity to comment on Mayor Parker's proposed budget. I'm here to advocate for safe streets and transportation equity. I would like to support the city's increased contribution to SEPTA and request these changes to the proposed budget. Increase funding to expedite Vision Zero. The proposed budget reduces Vision Zero funding. Increase funding for transit priority corridors like bus-only lanes. Funding to expand the low-income fare program, funding for Streets Department to create an inner-city bus terminal, and funding to expand student transportation to cover SEPTA passes for all K through 12 students. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Helen, please call the 2 next individuals for public comment.
We have Tiffany Chavou and Suzanne Wright. And we can also have Sam Liu and Jordan Heath make their way.
Thank you, Council President Johnson and City Council members for this opportunity to speak before everyone. I know we have all been here as you have been, so thank you. We appreciate your time. Good evening at this point. My name is Tiffany Chavou, and I am the CEO of Somerset Academy Learning Center, located in North Philadelphia. We currently have 60 Philly pre-K slots, but we can accept so much more. I'm here to testify on behalf of Bill 240179 and ask City Council to increase the Philly pre-K slots by 250. Thank you. When we listened earlier to the DA speak about juvenile justice, as a former probation officer, I understand firsthand what happens to our children when they are not in a quality early childhood program. Preschool provides children the opportunity to engage in socialization, emotional development, and receive early intervention if needed. Somerset Academy has been able to provide families a quality education because of Philly Pre-K. We have a music therapy program, a school chef, a behavioral specialist, and more to support the needs of all children. If 250 more seats are provided, more children will be serviced, and prayerfully, less young adults will go through the juvenile justice system. To date, we have not lost one child to violence. Not one. Not one. We talk about the diversion programs, but the best diversion program is the one that begins in preschool. We need 250 more Philly Pre-K seats to positively affect more lives. Please, please give us more Philly Pre-K slots. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sue Ann Wright. I'm representing my Unitarian Church. I'm representing the Abolitionist Law Center, and I'm representing the Coalition for the Prison Oversight Board. I'm a senior citizen, and I'm going to speak to you about, I'm going to speak to you on the deplorable state of mental health care in our city, as evidenced by personal experience. As a survivor of the mental health business, I have survived cruel, torturous treatment, such as being thrown in a cell by law enforcement workers with no explanation, chased down and injected with unknown behavioral controlling medication and sexual abuse, then prescribed medication that killed one of my major organs. Esteemed council members, we need more money allocated to help those of us afflicted with mental health issues. We need more social service workers and less punitive treatment workers. Often what appears to be criminal behavior is a mental health crisis. We need low or no cost training for us compassionate individuals who are capable of providing valuable services to people in crisis who sometimes can begin the journey of recovery and reentry into a productive and fulfilling life by simply being listened to. I think that we can pay for this with just a proportion of the $1.6 billion that goes to prisons and police. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we have Sam Liu and Jordan Heath. We can also have Emerald Mazid and Caitlin Amick make their way.
Hi, my name is Sam Liu and I work at the Abolitionist Law Center, and I'm also a member of the Still We Rise Freedom Coalition. I just want to observe something from all the folks who took off work to speak today to fight for a safer, healthier Philadelphia. Everyone here is fighting for the smallest budget increases for things we know will make our community safer. You know what could pay for all of it? The $1.6 billion proposed to go to prisons and police. Why are we paying correctional officers? We're paying correctional officers a starting salary of $57,000 when half of Community College of Philadelphia workers are paid on average $33,000 a year. What about instead of spending $2.7 million on drones, we can fund the Office of Worker Protections for just $2.6 million this year? Instead of spending $1.48 million on cell phones for cops, we can get more than 2 seasonal park and rec workers at each camp, right? 200,000 residents struggle to cover housing costs, and 4,000 to 6,000 people are homeless on any given night. In 2022, the city's Director of Homeless Services said that with an additional $31 million a year, we could end chronic street homelessness. We could pay for that 6 times over by using the $195 million going to police overtime. The city is spending more and more on cop salaries every year, $148 million more, while the number of officers employed has actually decreased by 1,000 people since 2021. So where is the money going, right? I also want to talk about funding to the jail. The jail is the most dangerous institution in our city, yet the city is proposing $390 million this year to run it. There are 55 people who died since 2020 in those jails, and I want to name some of their names today. Alexander Rosa, Frankie Diaz, Louis Young, who was a father who died after being there for just 11 days from not receiving insulin. Every single one of those deaths was preventable. And despite the absolute failure and violence of the jail, the city has increased jail funding by almost 30% over 2 years. Make it make sense. We are failing Philadelphians who need help the most. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Jordan Heath. I'm of Philadelphia who just came home from prison serving 16 years. I'd like to speak about, I believe this city of Philadelphia should not fund prisons and law enforcement. I've seen where the money goes. The administration has pocket money, refused to use it for rehabilitation practices and help inmates become law-abiding citizens while respecting the rights of crime victims. And I also, prison officials has pocketed funds and they're not spending the money on programming for inmates with mental health treatment, mental health problems, and mistreat prisoners with severe mental health issues. I've seen inmates kill themselves, and the prison officials just turned the other cheek and turned the other street and swept it under the rug, swept the issue under the table. And I also seen prison officials beat and kill inmates just to get promoted like nothing ever happened. So I beseech this council and councilmen and councilwomen to think twice about providing any money to the Pennsylvania prison system and law enforcement agencies. The city has $6 billion, so the money should be spent on public health and mental health treatment programs, and should be invested in the people of Philadelphia. And I believe that we, the people of Philadelphia, are entitled to that money. Not only are we entitled to the money, but tax dollars are being spent, and people are spending their last savings just to get by here and there, and they don't have enough to pay for the next taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Imrul Mazid and Caitlin Amick. Following those two to testify will be Sterling Johnson and Sultan Smalley.
My name is Caitlin Amick. I'm an organizer with ANSWER, which stands for Act Now to Stop War and End Racism. This budget makes one thing very clear. The real priority of this city is police and prisons. These departments total $1.6 billion. Police and prisons are a higher priority than education, than cleaning up our streets, than economic opportunities, than affordable housing, drug treatment and addict support services, and even more important than community organizations for preventing crime and gun violence. When we divert resources from the police into community services, in turn, it will reduce violent confrontations, especially in over-policed and economically disadvantaged communities. But instead, this proposal is totally backwards, and any department's allocation for a cleaner or greener city or for economic opportunity for all ranges from only about 2% to 6% of the total police budget. I wish I felt that the $1.6 billion would at least keep us safer, but after reading the 53 pages of the 100-day PPD report, it's increasingly clear that the future of Philly is a police occupation with mass incarceration and under mass surveillance. Saying that the past few decades have been focused on what police can't do is a spit in the face for the countless victims of police brutality and murder, like Eddie Irizarry and his family. Police are already in our communities. I see a cop car on every corner when I head to Kensington. How is them being on a footbeat going to change anything besides increase unnecessary and dangerous encounters with the police, where they continue racist practices like stop and frisk, which just 90 days ago led to the execution of Alexander Spencer. Police aren't our community members, and they cannot gain the trust of the community because their organization's foundation is on the premise of an occupation occupying force only there to exert their power and protect property. We need to divest from prisons and police for investments into our actual community and social well-being. We've had the absolute pleasure to hear from about 50 better ways to spend that money from trusted members of our community just today, and they shouldn't be begging for crumbs.
Thank you.
Sterling Johnson, Sultan Smalley. Phoebe Bachman, Eddie Ramirez.
Go ahead, and you can begin your testimony.
Oh, I'm going first, okay. All right. Hello and good afternoon. My name is Sultan Smalley. I am a student at the Community College of Philadelphia and a member of the Sunrise Movement. As a young person concerned about our climate and the high rate of gun violence in our city, I know the importance of properly funding our city's parks and rec as well as our libraries. This is why I was happy to hear Sherelle say on the campaign trail that she wished to double the Parks and Rec budget by the end of her time as mayor to make a cleaner and greener Philadelphia. After all, research has shown that investment in public places like parks, trails, and libraries can reduce gun violence and improve community safety, often for a lower cost than other options, according to Medium. However, I was disheartened to see the Parks and Rec budget largely remain flat under the new proposal, as the administration has asked for a budget which is actually $1.7 million less than the current year's allocation. Personally, I know how important it was for me and my sister that we had Christie Rec Center across the street from our school so that we could play and attend various programming after classes. Likewise, I don't think I'd be as strong a reader, nor would I be able to major in computer science had I not had the Cobbs Creek Library as a resource. My late grandmother would walk me and my twin sister down those West Philly streets to the library every other week after school so that we could borrow new books and use the computers as well, because we didn't have any at home. This is why I am calling on City Council to increase the budgets for Parks and Rec as well as the Free Library of Philadelphia so that we can invest in our children and safer streets and ameliorate the impact of years of unnecessary austerity imposed on our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, state your name for the record. Please give your testimony.
All right. My name is Sterling Johnson. I'm a PhD candidate at Temple University, member of the Coalition for Dignity and Treatment and Philadelphia Housing Action. Queer disabled person. I'm proud to be me. It's not a weakness. Generally, people in this city will not be, we won't be removed or disappeared. Disabled people will not be removed or disappeared. And I live in South Philly. And when I say that, I mean South Philly. I'm focused on the budget for planning and the Office of Homeless Services. We need to prevent evictions, prevent the expiration of housing subsidies. We need to fight for every affordable unit and for low-income tenants in those units. We also need disabled housing and senior housing. We need to support people currently experiencing homelessness. Here, we don't even start with the easy targets. People coming from hospitals, people coming out of jails. People I meet are people that just had a stroke and now they're homeless and they've been evicted. There are people that I meet that they're experiencing domestic violence and now they're on the street with their children. They cannot get into any family shelter. Right now, that's what's currently happening. There are people that are doing sex work that need a home. People coming out of foster care, elderly men and women. Those are the people that are experiencing homelessness, to be clear. Right now, the plan is to remove generally just drug users from the streets. The overall drug use, it seems to be just put upon every single person that's on the street. That is not true. And even if that were to happen, there is no expansion of services for those people. Even if they went to treatment, where would people go after? They'd be back on the streets. Back to KNA, back to Broad and Snyder, back to 30th Street and SEPTA. Generally, just to end, I'm a person in recovery, I'm a drug user, I've been in this space forever. Honestly, I'm tired of handing out syringes to people alone just as everyone else. I've been doing it for 10 years. It doesn't make any sense. We need those syringes to stop HIV. I have HIV. I know. That's what we need to do. It's in our community. But we also need all the other services that include income and housing to actually make we need our neighborhoods to be quality neighborhoods, including Kensington, Strawberry Mansion, everywhere. I guess I want to tell people, like, we take that seriously as harm reductionists. We take that seriously, and that's why we're out there every day. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, we have Phoebe Bachman and Eddie Ramirez.
Eddie's not here.
Also Stanley Shapiro. We also have Reverend Dr. Chris Jimenez.
You can begin your testimony.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Phoebe Bachman. I am an artist, a resident of South Philadelphia, and I also work on a project called The People's Budget, which some of you all know about, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at the roundtable. Today, though, I am going to be talking about the cultural sector in Philadelphia and also some notes on criminal justice, as I've been working in that field for many years now. In terms of the cultural sector, we really need to truly fund the arts, including performing arts, visual, musical, and public artwork. Art programs expand far beyond the final product, as we all know. They engage in communities, they tell stories, relate to our emotions, help us navigate trauma, and provide jobs. Personally, I've worked in our arts program through mural arts and reentry programs. I've also worked up at SEI Phoenix. I've worked in rec centers and art education programs. We need to truly know what we are funding here because they are essential to our city. And while it's not clear what's happening with the Office of Arts and Culture at the moment, we need way more funding than is currently allocated in the current budget. We're asking for 1% of the budget to go to the arts. There are other cities that allocate far more money to the arts than we do here, and we say that this is an incredibly important thing to bring people to Philadelphia, yet we don't actually invest the funds in it as a city. We're asking to have 1% going. And we need to support independent artists, small organizations as well, not just the larger organizations, though I have benefited from mural arts funding, and we also need to be able to restore mural arts funding to an additional $2.4 million to a total of $5 million. This would help mural arts maintain stable and consistent funding for the next year, and hopefully be able to plan into the future. I want to make a few more notes around criminal justice in particular. I've been doing a lot of work around End the Exception. As some of you all know, 13th Amendment abolished slavery, except for there's an exception clause for those who've been convicted of a crime. Councilmember Kendra Brooks introduced a resolution to end this in Philadelphia. Can I just finish this note? And we already heard in testimony given by the Prisoner Commission that people are working for around, I mean, it's truly under 80 cents an hour, and I think this is absolutely terrible. Also, we have people who are working pre-trial, as he noted in his testimony, that they're able to save up with these pennies to claim bail, which is absolutely absurd. And I don't even know if it's legal. So we need to really put this practice of ending slavery into our budget, and we need to be able to pay incarcerated workers because we need to be able to value all labor. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to note that the gentleman right there, Isaiah Thomas and the young lady over there, Leader Richardson, they started the Cultural Arts Fund to make it a priority, so I'm sure he's going to be making sure that, I think they cut $1 million from mural arts, and he put $500 back in the mid-year transfer ordinance, so you got a champion right there. So, Mr. Stan Shapiro, just state your name for the record, Stan. The Stan Shapiro.
My name is Stan Shapiro.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Member President Johnson and other members of council. I'm Vice Chair of Philly Neighborhood Networks and a member of the Philadelphia Revenue Project. I served for 22 years on the legal staff of this body in the 80s and 90s. We are pleased that no proposal for sharp tax cuts has yet been introduced this year, but we are hearing that it's just a matter of time before some such proposal does come before this body. We wouldn't be surprised if it resembles the proposal made by the Chamber of Commerce last year, namely tax cuts that would total $630 million over 10 years, with the wage tax rate falling to 2.99 and the business net income tax cut almost in half to 3.1%. We are here to strongly oppose a proposal of this nature. Under the Chamber's plan, a median household would save $351 in wage taxes. A millionaire would save almost 20 times as much, or $6,660. How that's tax relief for the regular people of the city, I don't know. This inequity would be compounded by the fact that the $630 million tax cut would equal a cut of the same amount in city spending and thus make additional investments in programs for those most in need, including measures to increase public safety, all but impossible. And program cuts will absolutely be necessary if there are tax cuts this year because they're not presently incorporated in the mayor's budget. So you will have to cut dollar for dollar if there are any tax cuts. And among other things, tax cuts will make it even more impossible than is the present situation in filling vacancies because the ability to raise wages will be tremendously offset and, if not, destroyed. The narrative that tax cuts, including corporate tax cuts, would produce good-paying jobs is simply false. Tax rates are a relatively small factor in business location decisions. One study suggested the following to be the main 6 factors that businesses should take into account: accessibility, security, competition, business rates, which include taxes as one of several cost elements, skill base in the area, potential for growth. Other studies raise up other kinds of considerations, including just geographical location, which is a tremendous asset that we have, of course. Furthermore, actual experience shows that the city, despite its tax rates, has enjoyed increases in average wage rates during the previous decade far greater than those of its suburbs. So the growth in jobs in the city has been in quality jobs, contrary to the Chamber's talking points. According to a study by the Economy League of Greater Philadelphia, not a left-wing organization, between 2010 and 2019, the average private sector wage of the suburban counties decreased by 13.4% when accounting for inflation. At 0.8%, Philadelphia saw the highest annual average growth rate in private sector wages in the region between 2010 and 2019, translating to roughly an increase of $535 when accounting for inflation. There is simply no justification for a drastic tax cut at this time, particularly like the one presented by the Chamber, which only provides significant benefits to big business and the rich. We must be aware that we're talking about the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. It has many members who themselves are located outside Philadelphia, competing against our own businesses. I want to leave that. They are the Greater Philadelphia. They are not the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. Its true plan is not to benefit our city, but just to set up a continuing campaign in which it pushes one jurisdiction after another to cut taxes just to benefit its members with no regard for the welfare of the people who live in any of these jurisdictions. We are in a chase to the bottom, is what the Chamber is enlisting us to do. We're counting on you to oppose these terrible tax ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shapiro. Good seeing you.
Next up, we have Reverend Dr. Chris Jimenez and Connor Deschmaker. Following those two would be Ted Zellers and Tiffany Dubois Morales.
Dubois.
Dubois. Thank you.
How you doing, sir? Just please begin your testimony. State your name for the record.
I'm Reverend Dr. Chris Jimenez. I serve as the Associate Pastor for Social Justice at the People's Baptist Church in Southwest Philadelphia. I'm a resident of the 2nd District, and I am the Executive Director of Healing Communities PA, which is a justice transformation network and one of the providers of restorative justice services to the DA's office and to the 1st Judicial District. speaking against the plan to increase the prison and police budget while flatlining and decreasing other community-based approaches to reducing community violence. Beginning in 2022, between state and local investment, we saw nearly $200 million invested in evidence-based, community-based solutions, and as a result, we saw a historic 21% drop in violent crime in 2023, and the numbers for the first quarter of 2024 show an additional 36% drop. This was all accomplished with 300 less cops. Those aren't my numbers, they come straight out of the DA's office. To reverse course now and go back to the failed 90s era policies of broken windows, occupational policing, stop and frisk, and the Frank Rizzo era of law enforcement will not only fail, but will probably cost us tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in civil rights lawsuits. Last time stop and frisk cost us $30 million, and this public is much more aware of their rights now than they were during the Nutter administration. It also led us to a historic increase in mass incarceration, where in 2015, we had a massive state road population of nearly 12,000. We're down now less than 5,000, but this plan will see that skyrocket on the backs of black and brown youth and young adults. We're also talking about ending investment in harm reduction despite an extraordinarily high number of overdose deaths, and knowing that this will lead to an increase in HIV and Hep C cases, and doing it anyway. Targeting drug users, the homeless, survival sex workers with a go to treatment or go to jail policy will not only work, considering we don't have the treatment beds in the system to begin with. So what do we do then? Hold them in jail until a bed becomes available? It doesn't make any sense to bring gang cards or police-occupied schools to Philadelphia, where we've already seen a 75% increase in criminal referrals to the DA's office from the school district since the new superintendent took office. And I'm talking about 10-year-olds prosecuted for cussing out their teacher. I'm also not in support of a military-style invasion and occupation of Kensington as outlined in the 100-day report. And please don't tell me that's not what it is. I'm a retired Marine officer with 22 years of experience, 4 combat tours, and 22 years of experience in military law enforcement. I know how to read an invasion plan, and that's exactly what this is. While as the father of a homicide victim, I also understand the fear and the pain of what our city is going through. The fact is the root cause of crime is poverty, and we can't arrest our way out of that. We cannot gut programs like Built to Last, non-law enforcement first responders, harm reduction, community health and wellness for more cops in prisons when crime is going down. We need to hold the course and invest in the blueprint that this body just passed a few months ago. Under Curtis Jones' plan for a blueprint for safer Philadelphia, this body's already adopted. Not just giving a blank check to the police and prisons to occupy our communities and incarcerate our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hello there, Council President. My name is Connor Deschmaker. I'm a resident of South Philly, live in your district. I ride the 2, 17, 48, 64, and Broad Street lines most regularly. I don't own a car, and I'm the Coalition Manager for Transit Forward Philadelphia. We represent interfaith groups, environmental NGOs, neighborhood RCOs and CDCs, elder and disabled rights groups, and the 30% of Philadelphia households without access to a vehicle. These interests in the transit community intersect with all these other asks that people are having, connecting people to place and transit that allows us access to our full selves. I am asking that the council increase the city's contributions to SEPTA. We're supportive of Mayor Parker's proposal because that budget increase goes hand in hand with Governor Shapiro's statewide plan that prevents SEPTA from encountering its fiscal cliff as American Rescue Plan funds run out. This will help us from making major service cuts and fare increases. This is the bare minimum. But if you want those big projects that you're wearing the buttons of, like the Roosevelt Boulevard subway, that comes with stepping up to funding. We are 6th in earned revenue among transit systems around the United States of America, but we are in the 40s in the amount of local funding that we provide to the system. So there's a huge discrepancy there in what we are getting for the investment that we are putting in. I'm also asking that we expand the low-income zero fare program, as Councilmember O'Rourke mentioned earlier today, so it can move beyond its pilot stage and reach the many, many more citizens in Philadelphia than 25,000 that fall within 150% of the federal poverty line. Also asking for a dedicated budget line item for the intercity bus terminal. The current temporary solutions have come through discretionary funding from the Streets Department, so dedicated money is needed. And last but certainly not least, I will ask for support of Councilmember Landau's discussion to lead in facilitating discussions between SEPTA, the School District of Philadelphia, and the Department of Education to expand the K-12 Student Pass program so it can be used 24/7 for students are asking for this. This will allow connection to community, connection to place, and youth engagement. We talk about youth violence, we talk about all those sorts of things. That comes from having connection to place and access to opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You can begin your testimony. State your name for the record.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tiffany Dubois Morales. I am the founder and CEO of Dubois Public Relations, LLC. Tiffany's blog, my food, wine, and cocktail blog that I've had for over 7 years now, and Tiffany's Community Spotlight, which is my now at-home podcast. I wanted to take a moment to thank all of those council members who voted for reductions in the wage and BERT taxes last year, and urge for all present today to continue to stand with small businesses like mine, along with hardworking citizens of the city. However, we need to do more. As a small business owner, my job is to tell everyone's stories. I do not discriminate based upon industry, person, or group. Everyone here has a story, and I take pride in the work that I do in my community, as well as other communities here in Philadelphia. Lowering the wage and BERT taxes would allow me to continue working in the LGBTQ+ arts and humanities, hospitality, entertainment, and any other industries here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has the distinction of being the only major city that double taxes its businesses through a business income tax and a business receipts tax. Philadelphia also has the nation's highest wage tax. I sincerely hope that everyone has listened to my testimony and urge you all once again to lower the wage and BERT taxes for not only my business, but my fellow small business owners. Thank you.
Thank you. The next two individuals with public testimony.
Is there a Ted Zellers? Just confirming. Zach Wilka and Tim Steyer. Following those will be Melissa Santos and Louis left, okay. And Louis Bartholomew.
How you doing today?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Just state your name and begin your testimony.
Sure thing. My name is Zach Wilka, he, him pronouns. I'm CEO of the Independence Business Alliance, and we're the LGBTQ+ Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia. Thank you so much for having me here this evening to testify. I will try to be brief. I've been told that all my life, so I will definitely try it tonight. I'm here today speaking on behalf of Philadelphia's LGBTQ+ business community, which is comprised of all races and ethnic backgrounds, sexual orientations, gender expressions, and varied in industry, as well as part of the efforts of our Diverse Chambers Coalition of Philadelphia. In October of 2021, we formally came together with our local African American, Asian American, Hispanic chambers of commerce to develop and launch the coalition. With the goal of economic uplift for and with diverse business communities, we speak with a united voice on issues where we unanimously align. Our aim is to do good things for businesses and the best thing for our people, which we believe are not mutually exclusive. I was the one who was free today, so I'm sorry, I'm the one you get from the coalition. Honestly, I would have gone in a different direction with some of my colleagues, but I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you a little bit about our primary concern of our members, which is the business-killing BERT tax. Our small business owners overwhelmingly identified this through surveys we do every year as their most onerous expense. The double taxes, which do not occur in similarly situated cities, are grinding away at businesses at this historical moment when resources are thinner than ever. More dangerous for our city's future is the fact that these taxes simply do not exist in neighboring cities or similarly situated cities across the country, and it makes the prospect of moving one's business out of the city quite alluring. Overwhelmingly, we have heard positive feedback from our constituents over the previous year's reductions in BERT taxes, that they were essential for the survival of their businesses and how we cannot stop now. We must be aggressive with our plans over the next year and make sure that we prioritize keeping our businesses alive and thriving. Regional and national competitors are outpacing Philadelphia when it comes to growing jobs and attracting new employers, which is in large part due to the fact that Philadelphia has the tax structure that we do. We urge you to vote yes on wage and BERT tax reductions, and we thank all council members who voted for those reductions in previous years. That many members of our chambers have found entrepreneurship to be their path out of poverty and to wealth building. It is but one action the city can take to help grow businesses and create jobs, but we must stress that we have work to do as a city to create a regulatory environment that will enable and support the kind of business and job growth. We should not aim to create extra barriers that drive enterprise away. And as we have testified before, quality jobs do not appear without strong enterprises. And if my colleague Jennifer Rodriguez were here today, she'd remind us that the lion's share, more than 30% of jobs are created by small businesses in Greater Philadelphia, and more than half of all jobs nationwide are created by businesses of fewer than 500 employees. We hope that the city will continue along this trajectory that began 2 years ago. Our businesses love this city. They say it in our surveys, and they want to operate their businesses here, but are finding it hard to reasonably do so. For all these reasons, we are at an important moment in the city's economic history where you can choose to invest in small businesses and bet on our communities at the same time. So, to wrap it up, in short, BERT tax bad, cleaner, greener, safer, access to opportunity for all, good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir. State your name for the record, begin your testimony.
My name is Tim Steyer. I am a longtime resident of Philadelphia, and I run a small business. And incidentally, my business Ride to Work is centered around workforce development, helping employers recruit talent from people from marginalized backgrounds and communities. First, I want to thank Council President and council members for allowing me to speak this evening. Today, I sit before you to urge you to vote in favor of wage and business tax reductions. I want to express my gratitude to those council members who supported reductions last year and stood by the small business owners and hardworking citizens of our city. However, I believe that we need to do more to support the growth and success of small businesses like mine. Number one, tax reduction for growth. As a business owner, my goal is to grow my business. When my business grows, I'm able to hire more employees and help people get better jobs, creating income for others. It is important to understand that no one hires just for the sake of hiring. We hire because we need to help meet the demands of a growing business. Therefore, it only makes sense to invest in this kind of growth. Impact of high wage taxes on employees. With inflation still a concern, the cost of everyday staples has increased. As a result, it is crucial to give an immediate raise to our workers. Double taxation on business. Philadelphia is the only major city that double taxes its businesses through a business income tax and business receipts tax. This double taxation has been a significant barrier for businesses like mine to grow within the city. By reducing taxes on businesses, the city can remove this burden and create a more favorable environment for small businesses to thrive. Philadelphia's competitive advantage. It is important to recognize that Philadelphia lags behind other cities when it comes to private employers and business opportunities. Most of the region's large and mid-sized private sector employers are located in the suburbs, where they benefit from lower cost of doing businesses. By reducing taxes on businesses, the city can incentivize these employers to stay, grow, and hire within Philadelphia.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The next two individuals.
Next, we have Louis Bartholomew and Samantha Monroe. Then we have Jana Williams Davis and Elizabeth Horvath.
Thank you very much. Please state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Good afternoon or good evening, President Johnson and members of City Council. My name is Louis Bartholomew. I'm the Executive Director for the Queen Village Neighbors Association. I'm also a member of Fifth Square and a board member of the East Kensington Neighbors Association, as well as Philly Bike Action, and believe that in this budget we must provide more funding to allow folks to travel safely throughout our city, especially by walking, biking, and public transit. Given the epidemic of traffic violence on our streets with over 10,000 recorded car crashes last year in Philadelphia alone, I share many of the sentiments stated today by others about the dire need for traffic safety measures. I bike to work every single day from East Kensington to Queen Village and usually have 1 to 2 incidents each week where drivers nearly hit me and could have hurt me greatly. Vision Zero isn't about educating drivers or cyclists or pedestrians. It's about rebuilding our streets so that all people naturally engage in safe and common sense behavior. Everyone knows it's wrong to speed and to drive through stop signs. Some easy Vision Zero investments include narrowing our intersections, known as daylighting, which prevents illegal parking up to stop signs and increases visibility for motorists, cyclists, and pedestrians. Hoboken, New Jersey, as one example, has not seen a single pedestrian death in 7 years simply because they've implemented this affordable and impactful measure on most of their intersections. This is something our streets department could do very easily with more Vision Zero funding. In addition to more funding for Vision Zero, I ask that Philadelphia designate more funds for SEPTA, which is the lifeblood of our economy and desperately needs investment to make it a safe and useful ride for everybody, especially on the MFL. The quality of life issues and antisocial behavior make it a daily headache, and these issues are preventing a true bounce back in ridership numbers. Thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you very much. Just real quick for a point of information, Councilmember Thomas, on the proposal regarding the area where there were no car fatalities.
Yeah, Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, I've been to Hoboken before. Not too far from New York, right?
Yeah, it's right across the river from New York.
Yeah. Go ahead, young.
Good evening, and thank you, Council President and Council members, for considering my testimony. My name is Elizabeth Horvath. I'm a former educator and Senior Policy Fellow with Teach Plus PA who lives in Roxborough. Today I'm here with Children First, to speak as a parent in Philadelphia about Bill 240179 and adding 250 PHL pre-K seats next year. In 2001, my family went through what many families do after having their first child, finding childcare. Questions you may be familiar with consumed our household. Is there care near us or where we work? Is it high quality? Will it be safe? Is there a wait list? Can we afford it? We would be paying nearly my salary in tuition, so childcare was not making financial sense for our family, and I left the workforce. Knowing about the PHL pre-K program was key to my returning to work. We were lucky enough to find a PHL pre-K center with open seats. Roxborough and the surrounding neighborhoods are priority zip codes according to the Office of Children and Families, meaning there's a low number of publicly funded seats and a high number of children in poverty without high quality public pre-K access. This body is well aware of the benefits of access to high-quality early childhood education. For example, research shows that for every dollar invested, it can return as much as $9, and children who attend ECE programs are 25% more likely to graduate high school and 4 times more likely to complete a bachelor's degree. But I'll speak from my own experience. My son is thriving at Prodigy Learning Center in East Falls, a PHL pre-K recently visited by Mayor Parker. He is making friends, developing physically, socially, emotionally, and academically. He has 2 teachers who know and care about him and are invested in his future success. His school actively engages him in his community with field trips and community visits. But too often I speak to other families who express surprise about our situation. Too many aren't aware of their options or are not able to access PHL pre-K seats in their neighborhood. They often are left scrambling to find answers to the same questions I mentioned earlier, or sitting on wait lists.
I appreciate hearing Council President Johnson append Mayor Parker's call to make Philadelphia the cleanest, greenest, safest big city with economic opportunity for all. In order to make that a reality, more parents need the opportunity to rejoin or join the workforce, and that starts with getting their kids into high-quality pre-K. So again, I implore you to approve 250 new PHL pre-K seats in this year's budget and help more Philadelphia's young children have access to high-quality care that sets them up for a lifetime of success.
Thank you very much. And ironically, in today's newspaper, and I read this morning, and I'm a dad of a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, so I get it 1,000%. When child care costs more than a mortgage, and that's reality, that's real. Several members who are here have children under 10 years old, so we kind of still in the, he got a newborn, but we definitely hear you loud and clear, and there is no increase for this program, and so we definitely hear you loud and clear. And separate from this, the administration is also doing budget hearings. So we're glad that everyone is here. We want to also make sure you participate in the administration who actually shaped the budget and put their own proposal out. Bring that same energy. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Rebecca Fabino, I'm sorry, I can't read the last name, and Jake Zychik. Following those two is D'Angelo Virgo and Stephanie Blake.
How you doing? Just state your name for the record. Begin your testimony.
Hi, all. My name is Jake Zychik. I'm the Community Advocacy Director with the American Heart Association. Sadly, heart disease continues to be the #1 cause of death of the city of Philadelphia. And really just wanted to speak very quickly about 3 initiatives that we're supportive of the AHA. One was just mentioned by the lady before. We are fully supportive of a hopeful increase of 250 Philadelphia pre-K seats. We understand the importance that this program has on lives, and wanted to say that the Heart Association fully stands with Children First and child care providers for that program. Second, many of you might not know that the city of Philadelphia has the highest smoking rates of any major city in the United States. So we're very excited to hear about SEPTA's initiatives to really address smoking and tobacco and vaping use on its stations, trains, and platforms, and we think there'll be a great impact on that. Lastly, over 300,000 individuals die each year of out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, and there's work to be done in the city of Philadelphia. There are great disparities on individuals who receive hands-only life-saving CPR, depending on race, ethnicity, and gender. So we really want to work with the administration and city council to invest in programs that would really offer innovative technology to 911 responders, to have them teach hands-only CPR when someone calls 911. This program was implemented successfully in Washington, D.C., and we believe Philadelphia can also do it, and the cost would be approximately $200,000 at first, and even less annually. So I just want to thank everyone in City Council and Council President this evening for hearing our testimony, and I'll see you tomorrow morning back at City Council.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Sir?
Good evening, Council President. Good evening, City Council. My name is D'Angelo Virgo, and I'm honored to speak before you today as the Executive Director of Civically Engaged. I urge City Council to consider reallocating any cost savings from juvenile incarceration towards diversion programs. As an ED of an organization geared towards our youth, I'm deeply committed to advocating for the well-being and future success of our city's youth. Today, I urge the City of Philadelphia to prioritize the expansion of diversion programs aimed at keeping our kids out of prison. Our city's youth are our most valuable resource, yet too often they face insurmountable barriers to success, leading them down paths that lead to incarceration rather than empowerment. It is incumbent upon us to provide them with the support and opportunities they need to thrive. Diversion programs offer a lifeline to young individuals at risk of incarceration by redirecting them away from the punitive cycle of the criminal justice system and towards community-based intervention focused on addressing the underlying causes of their behavior, we can break the cycle of recidivism and set them on a path towards a brighter future. As a former educator, I have seen the transformative impact of early intervention and support in the lives of young people. By investing in diversion programs that provide access to education, mental health services, job training, and mentorship, we can empower our youth to overcome adversity and realize their full potential. My experience in the Office of Juvenile Parole and Probation further reinforced the critical need for alternatives to incarceration. I've witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences of a system that prioritizes punishment over rehabilitation, perpetrating cycles of trauma and disempowerment. We cannot afford to continue down this path. Diversion programs not only offer a more humane and equitable approach to justice, but if we are serious, it alleviates the strain on the courts, correctional facilities, and ultimately saving taxpayer dollars and promoting public safety. Diversion programs are crucial in keeping our kids out of prison because they address the root cause of delinquent behavior and provide constructive alternatives to incarceration. Today's youth often face boredom and a lack of opportunities, leading them down paths of trouble. Simply locking them up does not solve the underlying issue, it merely postpones it. Without intervention, we risk perpetrating a cycle of incarceration without addressing the factors driving youth involvement in crime. Diversion programs offer a proactive approach, offering mentorship, skill building, and support tailored to individual needs. By investing in diversion, we invest in breaking the cycle, offering our youth a chance at a brighter future while empowering communities' safety and well-being. I implore this council to prioritize the expansion of diversion programs as a vital investment in the future of our youth and our community. By doing so, we affirm our commitment to justice, equity, and opportunity for all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Stephanie Blake and Aquila David. Following that is Alex Rivera and Jasmine Taylor. Andrew Knox. Judith Max Palmer. Marvin Robinson.
About to wrap up, y'all.
All right.
How you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm
Thanks for
doing
sticking
good.
it out.
Hanging in there all day.
I shouldn't have taken the day off after all.
No, that's all
Could have
right.
just come after work.
Good.
My name is Judith Max Palmer. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a committee person in the 46th Ward. I'm a member of Reclaim Philadelphia, coming to you today as a member of the Treatment Not Trauma Coalition and working in partnership with the Alliance for a Just Philadelphia. So thanks for taking our budget. Treatment Not Trauma is mental health professionals, organizers, policy experts, attorneys, and community members who advocate for a non-police mental health mobile crisis response. We were founded after the death in 2020 of Walter Wallace Jr., a young man experiencing a mental health crisis. His mother called 911 for an ambulance, and instead a police officer came and shot him to death in front of her. During last week's testimony from Department of Behavioral Health, we were so glad to hear that Dr. Bowen has valued us highly as partners, but we continue to be dismayed by the current response times of well over an hour, as Nikki Grant mentioned earlier. This is far in excess of police, fire, and EMS response times, which are consistently below 10 minutes. It's my understanding that the ACLU is pursuing litigation in Washington, D.C. in regards to this disparity, which plainly prioritizes physical over mental health, not to dispute the value of mental or physical health. We look forward to continuing to work with partners in City Council and the Mayor's office to ensure that non-police mental health crisis response is 1, adequately funded to the amount of $20 million, 2, uses its funding, including recent budget increases, appropriately, and 3, is scaled up as its utilization increases. When funding is allocated and not spent, but the services are still inadequate, it's a slap in the face to you, to me, and to everybody here, and should not just be dismissed as, I guess you didn't need it. So we'll be following up to set up a hearing about this matter to ensure its success. As Nikki also mentioned, 20% of Philadelphians have mental health issues. It's a lot of people, and they're vastly overrepresented in jails and on the streets. So when our family members and neighbors are in crisis, they deserve mental health professional response, not law enforcement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time.
Boy.
State your name for the record.
Well, my
Go
name
ahead.
is Marvin Robinson, and good evening, actually, everybody. Good evening, President.
evening.
Well, this has been a great day as far as I'm concerned of budget hearings. I've been coming down to budget hearings for a while, and usually it can be kind of rowdy up in here. I mean, really a lot of noise. But today, we as a community in the city of Philadelphia resident, we are showing y'all that we're together. And all we want is what's right for the people and what's right for our community. I was glad to see all my colleagues out there and over here being together as one, just letting y'all know that, you know, some organizations that gets this money, and y'all know, we finding out that this money is really not working with the organization. But organizations that need the money, it should be earmarked that way. I heard the mayor when she did her budget, and she specifically spoke on that. She specifically said that she's not going to allocate no more money to programs that's not working for the people of the city of Philadelphia. So the only thing I'm asking today, that you heard everybody, I'm not going to repeat what they said because they said enough. They said enough. So I'm just with them. I just want what's right for us. And I just would like to see our money and funding go in the right direction now. So I'm trying to beat this light today. This way the light don't beat me. So I really don't have much to say. Just grateful just to see all the city councils that made it out today, to hear the people. Because y'all really didn't have to be here. But that was grateful that y'all was here to hear them, you know, their concern. So thank y'all. You know, I see y'all tomorrow in City Council. It has been a great long day. But the great thing about what I want to say about the whole thing, we did more clapping in here today than more hollering. So let's keep it that way. That's it. I'm the mayor of West Philadelphia. Thank y'all again, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mutia Ajumo, and I can't read the other part, I'm sorry. And Nadia Graves.
Just state your name for the record and begin your testimony. How you doing today?
Hi, how are you? Absolutely.
Pretty good.
My name is Nadia Graves. I live in West Philadelphia, and I'm a political organizer with One Pennsylvania. I'm also a member of the Just Alliance, who are all here in blue today. I would like to say that I'm in solidarity with the people's budget that they have proposed. And we stay in solidarity together and we vote in solidarity together. So I would like the council to be aware that please pass this budget as if your reelection depends on it, because it quite literally does. But I wanted to talk today about renters across our city. So there's corporate landlords like Odin Properties who have been causing harm to our renters, like one of the renters who are elder renter who has gone for 4 months with no electricity because L&I doesn't have the capacity in their budget to do preventative inspections, only reactive inspections. So renters across the city, particularly those renting from corporate landlords, have been experiencing severe habitability issues, such as major plumbing, electrical issues, broken elevators, lack of heating, and other repairs. The Department of Licensing and Inspection needs to have some funding allocated for preventative inspections. And we need to make sure that we're holding landlords and corporations accountable. And we also need a displacement fund, an anti-displacement fund, to increase funding for people who need to go into alternative housing while their condemned housing is being repaired. This would look like people not being displaced and having equitable homes. We want y'all to seriously consider adding anti-displacement funds as a line budget item. And just, I'm wrapping up, but I think, you know, everyone is clear that Philly is one of the poorest big city, is the poorest big city in the United States, but we are going to have this money if we tax the rich. We need to make sure that for decades we're pouring into our city, and corporations have had tax cuts over and over again for real estate developers and tried the method of trickle-down economics, but we know that we all work, and when we all pour into the city, our city works better for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just state your name and title for the record, and please begin, sir.
My name is Muti Ajumo Sabaru, and I'm from the great state of North Philadelphia, city of Richard Allen.
Okay.
One of the ways that y'all can save money for this budget is by cutting waste. I see lots of waste. Like, for example, the mayor is asking for $8.5 million for public safety, a public safety director. That's the police job. That's the district attorney's job. That's the judiciary's job. That's the Defenders Association's job. That's creating more red tape and more pork. And we in the city that don't really mess with pork like that. We vegetarians primarily, or we eat a lot of beef, chicken and fish.
That's just me, bro. Everybody else eat chicken, fish
Beef,
around here.
chicken and fish, and vegetarian or vegans or hardcore vegans. But we don't mess with pork like that.
No.
So that's pork.
You eat
And
pork in Philly, we don't
just
touch
from what
you.
I've seen, and I haven't even had the opportunity to read the whole thing, Councilwoman Lozada's office has assured me they're going to give me a copy of it so I can go over it. But what I have seen, I can extrapolate at least $300 million of pork. So let's get down to brass tacks. The sister just mentioned that Philadelphia, which is incredible, is the #1 poorest city in the country. That's a shame. And it's #1 in poverty. I'm trying to figure out how, when I walk around, I see all this opulence. I see University of Pennsylvania, opulence. Temple University, opulence. LaSalle and St. Joe, opulence. They actually had a Berlin conference where they sat down and cut up and carved up the city and decided who gonna take what. And black and brown people are on the outside looking in. And the only way that they could do that is that black and brown and poor white people are in a position where they feel like visitors in their own city. We talking about hardcore, raw, unapologetic white supremacy. And unless we really ready to deal with that, then we're just gonna be like the proverbial dog chasing its tail, trying to figure out why we can't catch the tail, because the tail is actually connected to us.
Thank you, beloved. Appreciate you. The next two.
John Pruden, Israel LaPrince,
And the last person is,
and Julia Krug.
if you three could please make it to the table.
Am I good to go?
Thank you, Israel. Okay, I got this.
Am I good to go?
Isaiah, I want you to check, get a copy of this too. Go ahead, state your name for the record and please begin.
Hi, everyone. My name's John Pruden. Thank you guys for your time and your dedication to the city that we all call home. I'm a resident of the 1500 block of Green Street. I'm here to advocate for restoring and increasing funding to Vision Zero, back to $3 million, and providing for public transportation and safer bike lanes. While biking down 15th Street on my way to work, I was hit by a car literally last week. This could have easily been avoided with a delayed green and a cyclist signal. I'm not here to actually talk about my injuries, though. I made it out okay. I actually want to directly address my council member, Mr. Young. I understand from your public comments that bike infrastructure and public transportation isn't a top priority for you, and on a certain level, I truly understand that. I live in North Philadelphia, or I lived in North Philadelphia. I live in Fairmount now. You can see all the cars parked everywhere. The vast majority of your constituents are car owners, and I completely get that. I was a car owner before I got rid of mine. But this infrastructure benefits cyclists, pedestrians, and drivers. Even in an accident where the cyclist walks away, the driver doesn't come away unscathed. The person who hit me was visibly shaking, almost crying, and I had to reassure her that I was okay when she hit me with her car.
How many people don't visit the city because they don't feel like they can safely navigate our streets? Not only are there personal, emotional tolls to these accidents, there are downstream financial tolls. Since 2020, deadly vehicle accidents have risen nationally with no signs of stopping, and Philadelphia is far from an exception. Because of this, insurance premiums have skyrocketed. How many people leave Philadelphia just because they can get cheaper insurance and a lower cost of living in the suburbs? Obviously, as a cyclist and a public transit user, I echo the statements made by the members of 5th Street, but as a former driver, I want to note that every driver is also a pedestrian, and many pedestrians are also drivers. It's not a zero-sum game. Every person who chooses to use a bike lane or take SEPTA benefits car owners directly and indirectly. Every one of these people is one less delivery bike illegally driving on the sidewalk, one less car on the road, one less parking spot needed in Center City, one less car parked in the right lane blocking traffic, and one less accident destroying driver confidence and raising everyone's premiums. If we make Philadelphia a haven for cyclists and pedestrians, it will be a haven for car owners.
Thank you very much. And I'm driving, somebody crossed me over with a bike, I had trauma, because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
I was going...
So you're right, I didn't even, I had trauma, I was like, they cut right in front of me, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it was right in front of the police station too, so like thankfully there were a lot of people.
Thank you very much.
It was stressful.
Israel.
First, I would like to acknowledge you, Mr. President, and all of the council members for taking out your time to hear the public and hear our concerns. So I appreciate y'all for y'all due diligence and giving everybody that signed up today an opportunity to speak. So my name is Israel Prince. I'm the founder of Other Options Community Outreach. What's been going on in the city as far as the violence and the gun violence. I am a victim of gun violence. I've had several of my friends murdered. I'm from the West Oak Lane, Germantown area. I've held one of my dying friends in my arms. When I was a younger man, I was traumatized by that experience. In addition to that, I was also robbed at gunpoint. And one of the things that I know was a benefit to me, I was a member of AmeriCorps in CCC, was started by former President Clinton, and that opportunity, they flew me out to California. It gave me a chance to work in Habitat for Humanity. We taught English as a second language with San Ysidro, California. We planted 426 trees. So that community service allowed me to understand that I am a part of my community, and my community is a part of me. And what we're trying to do currently, I just heard the beep, is I want to give that outer world experience to our young people. I heard 5 million to 1 million. We're taking as many kids as we can possibly. We're going to take the kids to NASA, and we're going to be able to actually get on a rocket ship and actually see that experience. And so I'm working with Mallory, Simons, Finley Recreation Centers. I also, the Northeast shootings, I'm going to be getting kids from there, as well as the Covenant House, which is a homeless shelter for young adults and teenagers. So I thank everyone for your time. You can contact me via my website at otheroptionsoutreach.org or otheroptions.outreach@gmail.com or via Instagram. And I appreciate everyone that is here and who has given us your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Israel, and keep up the good work, and it's good that you're taking young people out of the neighborhood to see something different. Is anyone else here for public comment? Hearing none, the chair recognizes Councilman Katherine Gilmore Richardson for a motion at the public hearing and meeting on the bills and resolutions before the committee today stand in recess until Monday, April the 29th, 2024 at 1 p.m. in room 400 City Hall. Can I get a second? Oh,
Hold on one
excuse
second.
me.
Yes.
Let me acknowledge it. It's been a long one.
I got you.
The chair recognizes Councilman Katherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. I move that City Council's Committee on the Whole stand in recess until Monday, April 29th at 1 p.m.
Now it has been moved and properly seconded that the public hearing and meeting on the bills and resolutions before the committee today stand in recess until Monday, April the 29th, 2024 at 1 p.m. in room 400, City Hall. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries. And this committee will stand in recess until Monday, April the 29th, 2024 at 1 p.m. Thank you very much.